Yeah.
All right, buddy.
That's a challenge these days.
We're gonna go live on YouTube right now. All right.
Okay. Sounds good.
Hey, everybody on YouTube. We're kicking off a brand new week here on Spaced Out Radio. How y'all doing? I'm having a pretty good night, and I didn't even have time to get changed before I came into the studio here because I was busy working the daytime job. But you know what? I haven't worn a collared shirt on here yet. So I figured, you know what? We'll keep the hair back. We'll wear a golf shirt today. What the heck? How y'all doing? Let's give a shout out to everybody who is in here so far. Waylon, good to have you here. Desert Clam, thanks for coming on in. Joker's Wild, thank you for joining us. Appreciate that. Lufon, good to see you here. Thank you for coming on in. All right. Trust Divine Mercy. Appreciate you coming on in. Steam Train Mark, thank you. Breakdown, first time, long time, or appreciate you joining us in our chat room. Thank you so much. Chris Jarvis, appreciate you being here. Barther, who is the chubby Don Johnson on cam? It's Bart L. and his third nipple crew. They are here. Good to have you back. Bigfoot Michigan Rob, thank you for coming on in. I appreciate that. Justin, thanks for coming in. Gary the Spudger is here, everybody. Don't mess with Gary the Spudger. He's pretty awesome.
How about Cable Guy Matt? Is he in there?
Cable Guy Matt's not in. Pest 53.
Okay.
It's Renee in Deming, New Mexico. Thank you for joining us. The Freeman Rainer, appreciate you coming on in for the first live show. Thank you for joining us. Justin Pollock, good to have you here. Elf Thief, with your first live show with your fiance. Excellent. Thank you for joining us. I really do appreciate that. Thank you. Jim Christie's here. The Jim Christie, everybody. Spookles the Cat, I appreciate you. You know how much I do. And let's see. Who else we got? Shanna Banana. Shanna, on behalf of Spaced Out Radio, you know I'm sending you a lot of love right now. And from all of us, we're gonna help you be strong here, okay? I don't need to go into any details beyond that, but you know what we think about you around here, and we absolutely love you. And if you need a shoulder, we're here. Let us be your big shoulders for you. Much love, my friend. Much love. All right. We got about 2:30. Hey, you guys probably know him from the chat room here on YouTube. Nate Rudd is our guest tonight. He actually talks a lot about Bigfoot and investigates Bigfoot in eastern Washington along the Idaho border. And he's got Washington, Idaho Bigfoot search on Facebook. You're going to want to check that out. And Nate, how you doing, man?
Doing fantastic, Dave. Thanks for having me.
All right, me too, man.
Pleasure to be here. It's a real honor.
I know.
Real true honor.
I know, man. We got like 2 minutes before we got to get going here, and people are still coming in. Hey, Brian, thanks for coming on in. Appreciate that. I didn't know they made golf shirts that big. Wow. It's an XL, man. It's not a triple XL. Rupert M., good morning from London. I hope you're up early and having a good time, man. Thank you for coming on in. Appreciate that. BGs, how's tomorrow looking in Australia? Are we still alive? Please update us. Michael Leger, the Michael Leger. You never go wrong with a little Michael Leger in the room. Chuckles, Beehive, Chuckles. When are you going to bring the Beehive photo into this one? That's what I want to know. All right.
Sounds like a great group we got.
It's XL, not extra husky, Bart. Son of a gun. All right, we're going to start the one feed right now. And we got about a minute here before we get going.
All right.
I'm excited. Dale Elson and the Power Stash. Uncle Dale and the Power Stash are back. Oh, you know, Dale, your photograph needs to be changed. Just the mustache. That's all we need. We just need to see how tight that lip blade is, buddy. Thank you for coming on in. Lord of Land, good to have you here. Thank you. Everybody's getting ready for Bigfoot tonight, Nate. Everybody's getting pumped up.
I'm ready. Oh, I'm pumped up. Let's do it.
Absolutely.
It's my favorite subject.
All right. We survived another end of the world saga, according to BG's. I appreciate that. All right, everyone. We got about 30 seconds here before we're going to launch. And let's go to Twitter. Got our final tweet out right now. We're going to connect with the studio here in like 4 seconds. 3, 2, 1. We're connected there. And we're on in 5. Hey, PBR. How you doing, buddy? Thanks for coming on in. Hey, I got to unlock you here, so give me a couple seconds, okay? Beautiful Jules, thanks for coming on. Music is on, everybody. Super Chat is open. Let's have a good night. Let's have some fun. I think we all deserve it. Talking some Bigfoot here. And here we go. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates across North America and digitally on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio for the show. My personal handle at Dave Scott SOR. On Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR, Newswire, and much more. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Nate Rudd was born and raised in Spokane Valley, Washington. He spent most of his life doing two things he enjoys. Number one, working in the beer business for 30 years. Oh my gosh, that just sounds delicious. And number two, searching for Sasquatch. Nate has been an avid outdoorsman and hunter in the Pacific Northwest since he was old enough to hike and carry a firearm. For the last 7 years, though, he started investigating Sasquatch with his son Corey and brother-in-law Chris. Nate says, we have had many interesting, serious encounters. We love it, and we are searching for the truth and answers regarding this subject and hope to find them someday. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Mr. Nate Rudd, pleasure to have you on Spaced Out Radio for the first time. How are you?
Doing fantastic, Dave Scott. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And I'm
honored to be here.
I know you're a big fan of the show, and I appreciate that because you're always in our chat room almost every night. And I really appreciate you listening in to what we do on a nightly basis as well. So the fact that you like the woo and you enjoy what we do, I appreciate that as well, man.
Oh, thanks, Dave. I love it. I'm into all of that stuff. So I lived in a haunted house for 10 years, and we've seen some UFOs, and our big thing's Bigfoot. So that's our main focus. But yeah, I'm into all of that stuff. So your show's perfect.
Now I gotta say this right off the bat. Tell us about the beer. Because.
Well, yeah, I've been doing that for a long time. We carry all kinds of great brands up here in Spokane, Washington. The main brand we carry is all the Anheuser-Busch brands, but I've got everything under the sun. We're even getting into spirits and wine and energy drinks. Yeah, we've got everything. So it has been a fun business. It's been ever evolving, but I really enjoy it, and got to work for a great company. So yeah, it's been great.
So how do you go about going from 30 years of shilling beers all over the place? I almost said province. I mean the state, and now getting into Bigfoot, man. How does that work?
That's a great question. Well, I was always kind of into that stuff as a kid. When I was a kid, watching all the old monster movies, and back in the 70s, they had a show on every Saturday called Creature Feature, and if my mom didn't call me in from playing outside to watch that, and I missed that, boy, I was upset. And then, of course, watching In Search Of and Leonard Nimoy and the classic Bigfoot shows there. And yeah, just always been into that stuff. And then married my wife later in life, and I was in 93, and her father was an outfitter and hunting guide, and over the years he had all kinds of stories about Bigfoot, and used to love to listen to those stories. And then at some point, about 7 years ago, I was sitting out at the lake on the deck with my brother-in-law Chris, and it was getting late, and we've been watching all the shows, and we're kind of into it more than ever. And I looked at Chris, and I was like, Chris, hey, why don't we go on a night hike and we'll look for Bigfoot? He kind of looked at me funny, and I don't think he thought I was serious, and I was. And yeah, we went out that night, and we had an encounter our first night out, Dave.
No way.
First night ever out. Yeah, I'm dead serious. We had a rock thrown at us up in the ancient cedar forest up above Priest Lake, and yeah, it was amazing. That changed everything. A couple of things we couldn't explain, and never thought that would happen really going into that, but it did. And ever since then, we've been hooked. We've been absolutely hooked.
Okay, so take us back to that first encounter. Why all of a sudden, out of the blue, would you guys decide that you needed to go looking for Sasquatch?
Yeah, it seems a little crazy, but yeah, that was it. I looked at him and said, hey, let's go do it. Let's go try it. I knew that we were in a perfect place for it. We're up here in the Pacific Northwest in the Selkirk Mountains. We're at the bottom of the Selkirks. That's the mountain range that runs all the way up through British Columbia, where you're at.
Yes.
And yeah, we'd heard about sightings. I did a little investigation on the internet and stuff like that, and kind of got more and more interested in it. And we were watching some of the shows, some of the not so good ones, but yeah, so we did it. And Chris said, yeah, let's do it. It was just late. We were bored. We drove all the way up the other side of the lake, and it was getting dark. I think it was dark when we drove up there, and we pulled into the Roosevelt Groves. It's a national park up there. It's an ancient cedar grove. It's like some of the trees in there are 2,000 years old, and just amazing place. And we'd been there before, not looking for Bigfoot, but we proceeded to pull into the parking area. No one else was there. This was probably about 11 p.m. at night. And we, got our gear and our backpacks and hiked up. It's about probably a good 1.5 mile hike uphill. And somewhere about halfway up, we were hiking, and all of a sudden a rock was thrown at us. And everyone can imagine what a rock sounds like. It hits the ground, it thumps, it rolled right in front of us down the hill, and we froze, man. We were kind of freaked out, shaken, kind of frozen, and we stood there a while, didn't hear anything else, and we got our flashlights out and we're shining them around on the hill there, and we didn't see anything, which was really strange. But we knew there was no one else there. There was no other cars in the parking lot down there. We were the only ones there. So, we just had a rock thrown at us. So we pushed through that, as kind of freaky as that was, and we proceeded to hike all the way in there to the ancient cedars. It kind of drops down into a little, I guess a draw, you could call it, with all the cedar trees. And we sat there for a while, and I think I did my first call. I know some people don't like to do calls, but they actually work. I'm proof of that. But did a call, probably felt kind of silly doing it. And immediately, right after the call, we heard the loudest crash you could imagine. It was so loud. It sounded like a tree being crushed against another tree. And it was a calm night, no rain, just incredibly loud. And when you hear something like that in the dark forest in the middle of nowhere, it gets your attention. And that's kind of the way the night ended. And
what time was this?
We went out of there. And
what time was this at?
This was about 11:30. It was probably closer to midnight, because we probably drove up there about 11. It's a good 45-minute drive from where we are at the lake at Priest Lake, and that's a ways up there. And
had there been sightings around there before?
Well, there has been, and that's the thing. I'd gotten on, probably the most famous website and checked out the sightings ahead of time. And, by then I was into it. I was kind of doing a little investigation online and never had been out before, searching it out. But I was a little familiar with some sightings up there. There was one about 1980 where a guy was driving up Highway 57 there along Priest Lake past Nordman. And this thing, I can't remember what time of day it was. You'd have to look it up. But all of a sudden, he saw out of the corner of his eye this bipedal giant creature coming off the hill, out of the trees, down the the gully, and it went right in front of his truck. He slammed his brakes on. The thing put its hand on his hood. That's how close he got to it. And it scurried across the road, and that's a sighting up there. You can look that one up. But yeah, there's a lot of, it's just a real hot spot. And since then, we've done a ton more research, and I've connected with some other investigators and researchers up here in the Colville area, Colville, Washington, and just other local researchers. And there's a lot of reports up here, a lot of encounters, and we've had our fair share just in the 7 years we've been doing this. So I always tell people, Dave, if you go out where they're at, if you know where they're at, there's a good chance something can happen. If you're out looking for them and you do the right things and you look for the right things, there's a pretty darn good chance that you might have an experience.
Nate Rudd is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We are talking Bigfoot tonight. Nate, I got to ask you, when you go up in those mountains and you guys decided that you wanted to have a look, how many six-packs were you in at this time?
Dave, that's an honest question. I probably had a few at that time. Chris wasn't drinking, my brother-in-law, so he was sober, and I needed a driver, so that was a good thing. So I'd had a few, nothing crazy, but we didn't take any with us, so we were fairly sober when that happened, for sure. It was just shocking, and like I said, when you go out and you have a couple things like that happen that you cannot explain away, you can't debunk. It kind of changes. It kind of becomes real quick. And that's what hooked us right there.
Okay.
And we've been going out. Go ahead.
No, please finish.
No, I was just going to say we've been hooked ever since. And we all work full time. We've got a pretty diverse group of guys. We've got a firefighter, we've got a chiropractor, a UPS driver, government workers, some business owners, and a beer sales rep. So we're pretty diverse, but we all love it. We have fun, and we go out as much as we can all year long. The thing is actually our area where we go, it's you can't even get to our spots from probably early to mid-December to late May, early June. In fact, we tried to go to our spot at Huff Lake, Washington, I think it's been 4 weeks ago now, and we could not get there. The snow was still too deep. They're unplowed roads up there. So we're a little limited. It's about 6-7 months out of the year we can go up there. So we try to get in as much as we can, but we all work full time, and, maybe someday a couple of us will be retired and we can do this more.
All right.
We're all.
Well, that's the big thing right there. That's the big thing right there. I mean, you got a team of people who can help out in case there's an emergency, and that's whether it's health-wise, injury-wise, or beer-wise. I mean, that's almost the perfect team, my friend.
No kidding. Yeah, I never thought of it that way, but I think you're right, Dave. Well, great group of guys, and our group keeps growing too. As more things happen, the word gets out. More guys want to come out with us, but we actually like to go in a smaller group, to be honest with you, because if you get too many people, you're less likely to have an experience.
Nate, for people who have never had a Sasquatch experience before, okay, I want you to you describe that event perfectly. All right, of what happened. I want you to tell me what it was like for you personally and what you felt when all of a sudden that rock came traipsing down at you.
Yeah, you're in shock, Dave. We froze. We were hiking in the dark. We didn't have lights on. We did have lights, but we were actually hiking in the dark, trying to keep it as dark as possible. And the rock came down, hit right in front of us. It must have been a fairly good-sized rock because it made a pretty good thud, and it rolled down the hill on our left. And we froze. We literally froze there. I think I heard Chris rack around in his sidearm, and I was just frozen, and we were just looking in the dark and just waiting to hear something. At first your mind goes to, did we just spook an elk or a deer or something?
Right.
You try to debunk it. Your brain tries to debunk it, but no, there was nothing there. There was nothing ran away. And then by then we're we're driving our flashlights, and we shine the whole, and we have really bright flashlights. And there was no animals running away. And it was a rock. You know what a rock sounds like when it's thrown, you know? So that one, and then since then, Dave, I got to tell you, I've talked to some other researchers up here that I've made friends with over the last few years. And one of them that lives up in northern Idaho here, her name's Cindy. She knows some people that had rocks thrown at them up there in the ancient cedars as well.
Really?
So when you hear stuff like that, yes, absolutely. So that kind of validates, you know, what happened to you when you hear of other encounters in the same area that are similar or exactly the same. So apparently we've got some Sasquatch that like to throw rocks up there.
All right. You know, I gotta say this. What did you believe about Sasquatch before all of a sudden on a whim you head out into the forest?
Well, probably thought like most people. I guess, you know, right away you start to think this is real. I always kind of believed it was possible, right? I was kind of skeptical, but I kind of believed in it. But like I said, when something like that happens to you, it really changes things. And I mean, I know we're going to get into it here tonight, but I've got all kinds of crazy stuff that's happened to us. That's pretty mild compared to some of our encounters. And so I probably thought it was a wood ape or a forest ape, or I was probably in the old school kind of state of mind on that. But I'll tell you what, since I've dug into it over the years, I've changed 180. I do not think they're an animal. I do not think they're an ape. And I think all you have to do to verify that is to look at the Native Americans, the First Nations stories and legends, and not one tribe in the United States and Canada thought of them as an ape or an animal. They thought of them as a people. So I believe they're more human. And a lot of people know they've done some DNA studies, and we can get into that if you want, but it kind of changes things when you really start to do research and you start to have encounters and you realize that they have special abilities that you cannot explain. And there's just a lot more to it, Dave, than just being an ape. And I know there's a lot of people, a lot of other investigators out there that probably disagree, but there's probably a couple camps on that opinion.
Nate Rudd is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. You know, I agree with you. I'm on the fact. I'm not saying that there is something, you know, spectacular about this creature. I'm not saying that there is something magical or whatever, but I do believe there is something supernatural about it. What it is, I don't know what it is. But I agree with you on the whole aspect, my friend, that it really, really opens up my mind. Because back in 2013, when I had my sighting, and then a few days later saw that pixelation by a tree, that really, really bugged me. Because right after that pixelation, four of us got roared at, and that was only 150 feet behind us. All right. It was eerie. Incredible. It was scary. I mean, just thinking about that still puts, you know, my 3 back hairs up on attention. Right. So, I mean, that's kind of the way I look at it, is there has to be something different about this creature. I don't know why, but that's it. What's your idea of these researchers out there who absolutely refuse to look at that as potentially evidence?
Well, I respect them, Dave. I respect everybody. But you have to open your mind a little more, and you have to be willing to bend as we learn more. And I just think if you look at the Native American legends, I mean, they've been here a lot longer than we have, and they all speak of the same thing. They all thought that these things were supernatural, you know, and they all had a different name for them. It kind of all meant the same thing. If you look at it, they all translate to hairy man or hairy tribe or mountain giant, or none of them translated to any kind of an animal. So, and you know what, Dave, none of us really know. So I could be wrong here and there, but that's just my opinion. That's where I'm at on it. Knowing what I know now is a lot different than when I started. And if you look into that, what the First Nations people believe, you know, they didn't believe they were an animal. So I think that holds a lot of weight. And I just think that, some of the old time researchers, maybe they've invested so much of their research and life and time into the other avenue that it's just hard to change at this point. That would be my answer, I guess.
Well, okay. So for being a Bigfoot researcher in your area, do you actually, how did you come to this attention that this was something that you needed to look into a little bit more seriously?
Well, as we got into it more and did more research, of course, reading books and listening to a lot of eyewitness encounters, that's the main thing right there. I mean, I believe that the best evidence we have of these beings is all the eyewitness encounters. You have thousands and thousands and thousands of eyewitness encounters, and a good majority of them, I can't give you a number, Dave, but a good majority of them all say, especially the ones that had a sighting, they all say that the face looked, not all of them, but most of them say the face looked more human if you ask them. And that's just from listening to people tell their encounters over the last 7 years. And you just start to put one and one together over the years. And eventually, you can't discount that stuff. And so that's kind of what changed me. And then the DNA study, I looked into that, and, I'm sure you've talked about it before, but the DNA came back as a human mother and an unknown father. So, you got to take that into account too. So there's just, like you said, there's just so much more to it that we don't understand. And that's what's so interesting about this subject, is it just sucks you in, and it's almost like the more you learn, the less you know. So it's always a search to find answers. And I haven't actually laid my eyes on one yet. I haven't had a sighting, but I've had some incredible encounters. We've had them really close to us. We can get into those as we go, but, yeah. And I kind of witnessed the special abilities. We've had some very, very weird things happen.
Nate, in regards to the fact that so many researchers out there refuse to go down the supernatural route, is there anything specifically that you learned that makes you want to investigate it more?
Yeah, we had an encounter in hunting camp a couple of years ago, and some amazing things happened. We were hunting. If you want me to go into the story now, I can.
We got about 1 minute, okay. And if we got to keep going, and if we got to carry it over, we will.
Okay, sounds good. So me and my good friend Rob, he's the UPS driver. We go hunting together every year. We've hunted together for about the last 6-7 years, and we go to the same spot every year. It's a whole week trip. We take a whole week off of work and set up a camp, and that's another thing. I think it really helps to stay in an area for longer than a weekend, because then I think you're more likely to have some activity. I think they kind of maybe get sick of you being there sometimes. But we went up there for hunting camp, and we'd never had anything weird happen there in that spot, although it is in the middle of all these other spots. But of course we're in hunting mode, so we're not really looking for Bigfoot, although I'm always on guard. It's always in the back of my head. So that week we got into camp, set up, and I did a call, or I can't remember if I hit a tree, something like the first night. That's kind of the way I always start our trips. My buddy kind of laughs at me, and he was a skeptic big time before this happened, but he isn't now. So I believe I hit a tree a couple times, did some tree knocks, and
hold the story. Hold the story right okay. there. Let's go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Nate Rudd's talking Bigfoot in Washington State and Idaho. Let's get into some of these experiences next on the Mighty SOR. There we go, buddy. There we go.
All right.
That's a good solid half hour. Yeah. Good. It
went fast.
Yeah.
Sure went fast. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I'm real open-minded, Dave. I think they're flesh and blood. I just think they have special abilities.
See, me too.
I just think that they can do things that we just don't understand.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of where I'm at.
Absolutely. I know exactly where you are.
When you hear this encounter, you'll understand what I'm talking about. I know you do already, but yeah, pretty incredible. So yeah, my buddy Rob, now he's a full-fledged believer after this, but you'll see why.
Well, don't tell us yet, because only the YouTube people are listening. Hey, we're at 100 people here, right at the half-hour mark.
Oh, that's great.
Oh yeah,
that is great.
There we go.
I was hoping to pack it out tonight, so I appreciate everyone being here. Appreciate all the chat room being there. Appreciate you having me on, too.
Oh, man, this is awesome. This is awesome. Science Bob with the super chat. Thanks, Science Bob. Really appreciate that. Thank you. I will let you wear a cowboy hat when you're up here now.
So you got Lon Strickler on tomorrow, huh?
No, not tomorrow.
No. Who's on tomorrow? Oh, is he on this week, though? I thought I saw that.
No, Lon is...
no.
I got to book him again. Hold on. We got Stan Gordon tomorrow.
Well, that's who I'm thinking of. Okay.
Hey, guys.
My bad.
Hold on a second here. Cable Guy Matt has arrived. And you know, when Cable Guy Matt comes in, we got to show off these free pieces of coaxial cable autographed by Cable Guy Matt. Check that out. That's a pure, permanent ink Sharpie pen right there, my friends. You cannot buy these in stores. Limit one per household. He's only got about 10,000 left right now because he had to burn through the first order and he's on his way to the second. So we're always loving on Cable Guy Matt. Hit him up for your free piece of autographed coaxial cable today. You want one of these. You totally want one of these. There we go. Had to get that out there. Tell you,
collector's item.
Tell you, when I start going to conferences and everything, I'm going to have to bring pieces of coaxial cable for Cable Guy Matt.
Oh, you'll sell them too.
Oh yeah, it may happen.
Chat room will buy them.
It may happen.
Well, we got to get you down here in in Washington State or Idaho or Oregon, somewhere a little closer, and we'll come support you one of these days.
Oh, I gotta get they gotta open up the border first, man.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah, you're right. I mean, we got to get through this first. It's been a haul, hasn't it? Man.
Oh, I know.
Everyone's at their wits' end, I think. Let's hope it doesn't go the other way now. I don't think people can take that.
Oh, we all just need to hug, man. We all just need to.
No, I agree. We need more of that.
Oh, yeah. All right.
That would help.
I'm pretty excited. It's my little guy's 7th birthday tomorrow. And he's all excited because at exactly 6:01 p.m. Pacific, he's going to get a video call from his guitar hero. And I think all of you know who that is around here. And I'm pretty stoked because I told him, I didn't tell him who was calling. I just said that, that he's got to have his guitar ready for 6:01 p.m. my time tomorrow.
That's great.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Pretty pumped about that.
Good for him.
Oh, yeah. Oh, watching him.
Tell him I said happy.
I will.
Yeah,
I will.
Tell him I said happy birthday.
Thank you. I look forward to it, and I got to say this, man. Like watching my little guy hammer on that guitar. I mean, he doesn't know a chord yet because, like, we're gonna put him in. In lessons because he really wants to play piano, and we have a piano in the house, and he really wants to play guitar, and so we're gonna put him in some music lessons, and I think I'm a firm believer that music is so healthy for kids, and no, it's not Buckethead. No, it's not Buckethead, Third Nipple Crew. You can bug me about the shirt, but no chomping down on Buckethead. Actually, Buckethead's an amazing guitarist. It would be kind of cool if it was him too. So, but it's going to be amazing for him.
Those kids are sponges,
right? Hey,
those
football
kids are sponges, Dave. Yeah.
Absolutely. He will learn every GNR song. Thank you to Science Bob for the super chat, kicking things off there. Our second half hour, everyone, is about to kick off right now. Hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. Breakdown, if you want your piece of coaxial cable, hit up Cable Guy Matt. Hey, Zach, how you doing? Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you taking the time to spend with us. I want to remind all of you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. And, of course, our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio for the show, and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We would appreciate that as well. We're talking some Bigfoot tonight, and right before the break, our guest, Nate Rudd, who runs WIBS, Washington, Idaho Bigfoot Search. He was telling us a little bit about a story about heading into the darkness of Washington State. Nate, welcome back.
Hey, thanks, Dave. Good to be here.
Good to have you here.
Yeah, so the infamous hunting camp encounter. This is the one that really kind of rattled us and kind of changed things a little bit. So I was telling you, we go there every year, same spot. And so I'd knocked on a big tree, and I think looking back on it, I think maybe we pissed them off, and they came in to have a look at us all week and harass us. But anyways, it kind of ramped up every day. So nothing really the first night, but the second day we came in from, I think we came in for lunch that day. We're usually out hunting all day, right? You spend the whole day out there hunting, and you come back after dark, and you know, you cook some dinner and you sit around the fire, and that's 90% of the fun. But so we rolled in, I think the next day for lunch, and we pulled into our little entrance to our camp there, and there was probably a good 15-foot sapling. It was probably 3 foot in diameter at the trunk of the tree. It was laying across the entrance of our camp. And if you can picture a pretty good sized sapling, a fresh one, and with a big root ball on it, we stopped the vehicle. We both looked at each other, thought it was just really weird, you know, right away. And my buddy Rob goes, "That wasn't there when we left." And I said, "No, it wasn't." And there were some other sticks placed across our entrance too. And by the way, there was no one there all week we were there. This is a valley that runs a long way through. It's called Squaw Valley up there, and there was no other hunters the whole week. We saw one rig when we left, the day we left. So keep that in mind as I tell this story. But so anyways, we hopped out of the rig, and I went and grabbed that sapling. It was pretty heavy, had a big root ball on it. I got pictures of all this too. And the minute I picked that thing up, a bunch of fresh dirt fell off all over the road there, and we just kind of looked at each other, and this is just bizarre. And so we looked around to see where this tree could have came from. We looked in the tree line all around, and this thing looked like it was pulled out like a carrot, Dave. If you can imagine a carrot with a root ball. And you start to think about what kind of strength would it take to do that. And I looked around. Well, we both looked around in the woods surrounding the area. We could never find. We must have looked for 20 minutes. We could not find the hole where that tree came from. So something placed that tree across the entrance of our camp, and that was the first really weird thing that happened, where we were scratching our heads. And I don't know if I was thinking Bigfoot at that point. I might have been, because my mind usually goes there, but I don't think Rob was. And then, so, you know, very bizarre. And as the week went on, things got more intense. We started hearing tree knocks at night. Probably that same night, the same day, we'd be laying in our tent there at hunting camp, and we started hearing knocks in the distance across a field. There's about a 300-yard distance in between the tree line and the tree line we were in. and we'd hear knocks in the distance, and then hear another knock would answer in the other tree line. And of course, I think I'm thinking Bigfoot by then. And so as it went on, like I said, each night got worse. The next night we came back to camp, Dave, there was a big, like probably a 25, 30-foot tree, fresh green tree, pushed right over in the middle of our camp. It almost hit our camp table and our stove and everything. And this was after dark we came back. And by then we're thinking, okay, this is getting pretty intense. That's the second tree that's been, pushed over or pulled out. And the knocks are getting louder at night. Every night gets more intense. And so we ended up setting up some game cams. We put one up in the middle of camp there. Actually, we did that before the big tree was pushed over because we thought we were going to catch it, but we didn't. We put one behind the tent. And after, I guess it was probably a day, we checked those things. And the one that was in the middle of camp, Dave, we pulled it down to check it, and it had a dead moth placed over the eye of the camera, a dead moth placed backwards on the lens, so it didn't take any pictures, which was really strange. And then we checked the one behind the tent, and it malfunctioned. It was just white pictures, so we didn't get anything behind the tent either. And we couldn't get the cams to work basically the whole week. And we've used those a lot. They work every time. So I've heard stories about them affecting cameras. So that was another little bit of evidence there that we had. And so every night the tree knocks got louder to where they were, as the week went on, they were right behind the tent at night. I mean, loud. And I don't know if they're hitting trees with a piece of wood or if they're clapping their hands. I really don't know. All I know is it's super loud and it's startling. And a couple times we ran out of the tent to try to see if we could see it. We couldn't see anything. It was close. It was, right behind the tent towards the end of the week. And then the last thing that happened that kind of was the icing on the cake is I was sleeping probably the second to last night, and I woke up to a growl right outside my tent, kind of by where my head was, like a deep guttural growl. And, immediately you think bear. And I thought maybe I dreamed it, so I laid there for a minute, and then it happened again. It was really loud, and I woke Rob up. Rob, get up. Do you hear that? And it happened 2 more times, so he was able to hear that too. And at that point, we were like, okay, what do we do? Well, we got to get our clothes on. We're going to get our clothes on and run out and see if we can see what's going on here. Kind of did the 1, 2, 3, zip up the tent, run out. Nothing, Dave. There was nothing running away. Didn't see anything. So that's kind of where I get into the special abilities. It's just super, super hard to explain.
Have you ever seen the David Paulides' Missing 411 The Hunted?
Yeah, yes, I have. Yep.
Okay, so right at the end, Bruce Maccabee's wife was sitting in her tree stand, and she saw that predator-like creature going through the trees. Do you think that might be what it's like?
That's what I'm wondering, because it was so close to us, but we were never able to lay eyes on it. And, we were pretty fast getting out of the tent. Maybe not when the growl happened. Maybe it took a minute to get our clothes on, to run out. But, that's the thing. I mean, we knew it was super close, but we'd run out and we'd search around with our flashlights and search the tree. There's trees all around us, but we never even heard it run away. That's the weird thing. If it was a bear growling outside your tent, the minute you zipped it up, I don't know if you've heard a bear run through the woods, but they're not quiet when they're running. They're cracking sticks and breaking branches and stuff. There was nothing. It was dead silent. So it makes you wonder if they do have that ability to like blend into things somehow. It's just we're scratching our heads. But that was an intense week, Dave. We had one more night. That growl happened, I think, the second to last night. And I looked at Rob and I said, well, what are we going to do? We were, at this point, honestly, we were stressed out. The last couple nights we were getting no sleep because of all the wood knocks and stuff. And so I said, okay, we got to make a decision. Are we going to hang tough and, tough it out and sleep with our clothes on and our guns on our chest? or what are we going to do? And we talked about it and thought about it. And like I said, we were stressed out, hadn't had any sleep for a couple nights. And we said, no, let's go to the cabin. We went to the cabin at Priest Lake, and it's only about, 25-minute drive from there to get some sleep. And before we left, Rob put his lantern inside the tent. We have a big canvas hunting tent, and he left it on low before we left. And a side note, we had a lot of mice in the camp that week, so we were very careful to zip down the tent all the way because we didn't want mice getting in our stuff in the tent. So we double checked that. We left. We went to the cabin, got a good night's sleep. Came back the next morning to pack up camp, and we got back. That tent was zipped up about 8 or 9 inches, Dave. And I got pictures of that too. I took a lot of pictures that week to document all this stuff, and that's all on our page. People can go find it. But I hope I conveyed that story well. But it was a very stressful, intense week. Let me say that.
I can see that. I mean, I can hear the emotion in your voice. I mean, you're almost tensing up a little bit. Be honest. Yeah. You're an outdoorsman. You've been an outdoorsman your entire life. You've been a hunter since you were a child. So when all of a sudden you have this growling sound that close to you at night in your tent, and let's face it, out in the wilderness there's a lot of animals that can kill you. There's a lot of animals out there that don't like the smell of human. All right. And here you are, but you're not really recognizing the sound. What is going through your head at this time?
Well, yeah, you're scared. I got to admit it. I would like to think that we're a couple of tough guys out in the woods with our firearms, and I'm not really. Bears scare me a little bit, especially grizzly, obviously, and there is grizzly up in that area, so. That's kind of where your mind goes at first, but we'd already had all the wood knocks all week, for the last 3-4 nights. So my mind, I mean, it instinctively wants to go to bear. In fact, we ran out of the tent yelling, "Hey bear, hey bear!" Just kind of a reaction that you get because we've been outdoorsmen and hunters our whole lives, right? But my mind immediately went to, because I was already convinced that they were around, Dave, that the Sasquatch were around. Because all the stuff that I told you is just, you can't explain it. We're in the middle of nowhere, and there's something making wood knocks, intense, loud wood knocks in the middle of the night, off and on, for 2-3 hours, and it got so close that it was right behind our tent. Very, very intense.
Did you think you were being?
Oh, go ahead.
Did you think you were being tracked? Were you the prey?
It kind of makes you feel that way. I just feel like, for some reason we pissed them off and they wanted us out of there because I felt like the pressure got worse every day and every night. It was just a pressure to leave. And, we finally gave into it that last night, plus we wanted to get some sleep. But, I just think they're very good at chasing you out. They probably could have hurt us, obviously, if they wanted to. But they'll let you know when they want you to leave. We've experienced that firsthand. So, they won that one. But we stuck it out almost the whole week. We didn't last that last night. So, it's something I'll never forget and something Rob will never forget. And, it's always there.
It is. Did you smell anything? Because everybody always asks, was there an odor? Was there that pungent Sasquatch odor around?
No, I didn't. And I've been asked that before. No, we never did smell anything at all. So, and I got to mention too, I've been asked, well, did you see any tracks? Well, the ground where we were at was super hard and it was really dry. It wasn't muddy or anything. So we did look for tracks. We didn't see any tracks. That's the other strange thing. So it's just an experience that I'll never forget. Just hard to explain. And knowing what I know, I mean, my mind goes to one spot, to one place.
You said there was one other hunter in the area and you wanted to get back to that. What happened there?
Oh no, I think I said that there was one other hunter coming in the day we left.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to make a point that there was no other hunters in the whole valley all week. We were the only ones there.
Yeah.
So I just wanted people to know that.
You know, the one thing that I learned from being from moving up north where I live now at SOR headquarters is it's amazing how many vehicles you can see going into the bush, or if you're pulled over for something and you get passed by vehicles, and then all of a sudden they're gone. They disappear. And you know they're driving somewhere. You know, but it's amazing how when you are in that deep a wilderness, how far away from other people you actually are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you can hear a car coming a long way.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good couple mile road to get down to where we camp. It's a gravel road. It's a fairly maintained road, when it's not maintained in the winter at all. It's remote like that, but you can hear cars coming in and out, and we never did, which is kind of strange because usually we usually see other hunters. But that particular year, I think it was a couple of years after the fires. We had a lot of fires up there a few years back, and I think hunters kind of avoided that area for a while. There was some big fires up there about maybe four years ago, possibly somewhere in there.
3 years ago, because it was the same time we were having ours.
3 years ago. Yes. Okay, there you go. Yeah. I kind of lose track of time, but you're right.
Because I remember the people of I remember the people of Spokane wanting to put fans on top of their roofs to blow the smoke back to British Columbia. I remember that being a story.
Yeah.
That was amazing. It was absolutely amazing.
That is funny.
I had a good laugh with that one.
Leave it to... Yeah, that's funny. For sure. Yeah, that was a bad year for fires.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, they came within about 2.5 miles of my house.
Oh,
that's
boy.
That's close enough. That's close enough.
Super scary.
Yeah.
That's too close for comfort.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, my friend. Nate Rudd is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We are talking Bigfoot. Nate, your area for people who may have never traveled to Spokane, all right, and that Idaho border there, how remote is it?
You don't have to go far to get out there. I can step out my front door here at my house, and I look at Micah Peak, and there's been, believe it or not, and a lot of people don't realize this, there's quite a few sightings up there in that area. There's Big Rock and Micah Peak and Signal Point up there. And there's been I have some encounter reports from up there that were shared with me from another investigator. So yeah, they're around in that it might take an hour to drive up there in a roundabout way, but where we go, it's a good 2-hour drive, Dave, and it's up close to the Canadian border there, up in the northeast corner of Washington, northwest corner of Idaho. It's a good drive to get up there. So, and it's real thick, old growth cedars, just beautiful country, real big mountains up there. Yeah. We're lucky to live where we do.
The people around Spokane and in the surrounding areas, are they mainly believers of Sasquatch, or is there a lot of negativity towards it? Like, I don't believe in that crap.
No, I think there's a lot of believers because you have a lot of outdoorsmen, a lot of hunters in our area. And, I think a lot of people are open to it because there's a lot of sightings and stories around here. In fact, there was a sighting here a couple weeks back on the Spokane River. It must have been northwest of, Spokane City. In fact, Steve Isdall just posted it on his YouTube channel. So I thought that was pretty interesting. One from right here close to home. So yeah, they're all around. We're surrounded by mountains. I mean, mountains and lakes and they're, a lot of people don't realize it, but they're really all over the place. Mm-hmm. You'd be surprised. And, I know where you live, it's probably the same.
Is there a lot of UFO activity around there too? Because people who say they are in a hotbed of Sasquatch territory usually have a lot of UFO activity in that area as well.
I believe there might be. We saw one last summer, Dave. It kind of blew us away. We were up camping up above Huff Lake there, where we found that structure two weekends ago. And we were all sitting around the fire, just, talking, having a beer. And all of a sudden, it was kind of later in the night. It was definitely real dark, real clear night. You could see a lot of stars because we were watching satellites and watching the planes go over. And you could see and hear the jet planes that were going over. You can hear them off in the distance. And all of a sudden, my son Corey spotted this thing, came over the ridge to our west. And keep in mind, this is up almost to Canada. It's way up north. Saw this light, a bright, super bright light coming over the ridge to our west. And he said, "What the hell is that?" This thing was super bright, and it looked a hell of a lot lower than everything else we've been watching all night. And this thing came over the top of us slowly, and it, like I said, it was low, and it was super bright. It was almost hurt your eyes to look at. And it made no noise, Dave. It was silent. It made absolutely no noise. And we were just in awe watching it. And it literally flew right over the top of us and disappeared over the ridge to the east. So, it was just one of those things. It's probably the best one I've ever seen. I can't explain it.
No kidding.
We were all shocked. Yeah, I'm not kidding. No, it was neat. Corey caught it on his cell phone, but it's hard to catch something like that on a phone camera in a dark sky. It didn't come out very good, but So we've seen some UFOs, some weird stuff like that, for sure.
Oh, but back to Bigfoot though, because that's actually why we have you here. When you go out, and you go out quite often, because let's face it, the mountains are right at your back door here. How often are you getting interaction?
That's a good question. I tell people about 75% of the time, believe it or not. It can be some wood knocks, or it can be a whoop or a scream. We have a lot of luck in our areas, making calls. You have to be smart about it. You don't just go out and scream a lot and stuff, obviously. You got to be strategic and smart about it. And sometimes you can catch them off guard late at night if you've been real quiet for a few hours and it gets late into the night and you let out a scream, you'd be surprised. We've gotten callbacks that way and whoops. And, in fact, I got a scream 2 weekends ago got a new camera, and I actually caught it. It's off in the distance, but you can hear it if you turn up the volume. It was in the morning, kind of caught us off guard. It screamed. We didn't provoke it. And then I did a couple calls back and got it. I believe we got it 3 times. And then the 4th time it quit. It didn't do it again. But, I just believe if you let them know you're there, they'll come in and look at you and hopefully you don't piss them off, but they'll investigate you. And I think if you're open to it, Dave, you're more likely to have an experience. I think, if you look at the paranormal, people that are sensitive to spirits and that kind of thing, they're just more open to the subject. Mm-hmm. And I think they possibly, I know it's a stretch to say this, but they may know that you're there. They may know, what you're up to, or when you let them know that they're there, they're very likely to come and have interactions with you. That's kind of what we've found. Because we have had a lot of those. Go ahead.
Man. I know what it's like to be tracked by Sasquatch. It is an eerie feeling. Let's get into that when we come back, and we can get into that whole discussion, because I don't think there is anything scarier that's happened to me in the forest. Okay, and I've never ran into a grizzly bear or a cougar very close. All right, but I could say this. I don't think there's anything scarier in the forest than when you have something big surrounding you on a couple of sides, really giving you the feeling to get the hell out of Dodge. That's the way it goes.
Absolutely.
Nate, you hold on. Nate Rudd is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. He runs WIBS, Washington, Idaho, Bigfoot Search. It's on Facebook. You can go like their page. I highly suggest you do. He's always got some great stuff on Sasquatch there, so make sure you go give them a thumbs up. Maybe join their group as well, because I'll tell you, this guy here, I think he's doing it the right way. I think he's going to the mountains with an open mind, and we need more of that in the quest for Sasquatch. Continuing on Spaced Out Radio next. All right, that's 1 hour down. Holy cow, dude, you're doing awesome.
All right.
Fantastic.
I hope so, Dave. I don't want to let you down.
No,
buddy.
man, you're doing great. Your stories are beautiful. I appreciate that. Hey, I'm going to run my dogs out right now. I'm just going to put the commercials on. I'll be
you bet.
right back, okay?
Okay.
Bye.
Sounds good.
Be right back.
The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
Are you an experiencer of something strange that can't be explained? Do you want help finding out what's going on? I'm Ryan Stacy, head of the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We've teamed up with Spaced Out Radio to investigate cases filled out in the SOR Sightlines report. We are independent and there's no cost to what we do. All we need is your experience. Let's find out what's happening together on the SOR Sightlines report.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at mightymoosebeard.com today.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
Hi there, this is the paranormal lawyer Michael W. Hall. I'd like to invite you to listen in each Sunday night where we're going to open up your eyes to everything strange and paranormal. I will be hosting some great guests.
Hey, Prairie Fire, how you doing? Thanks for coming on in. We got 126 people in here right now, man. That's kind of cool. Hey, Big J.
That's awesome.
Hey, man, everybody loves Bigfoot, man. Everybody loves Bigfoot.
It is a popular subject these days.
Oh, yeah. I love this topic. I really love this topic. I do too. If you're new to the show and you haven't popped in yet to give us to say hello, please do so. Jump into our chat room and say hello. We'd appreciate that, man. We'd appreciate that.
What's the record, Dave? 150, something like that?
No. Hey, there's Spring K or Spring Kai. How are you? Thank you for coming on in. Appreciate that. There is, I think our high is 141. 141 is where we topped out at.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. But you have to, do you have to post to be counted? Is that how that works?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. I was just curious.
I'm going to send everybody your Facebook group here.
Cool.
And Corrins is going to post it here.
Nice. Thank you.
The Third Nipple crew is on fire tonight. Way to go, Third Nipple crew. We got 30 seconds. Hi, Tina. How's SoCal today? Scarborough Sasquatch, good to have you here. Stu Gerson. Never mess with anybody named Stu Gerson, that's for sure. All right. 129. We're getting closer. We're 12 away. 12 away from tying the record.
Nice.
Let's try and get this thing going here.
Sweet.
Cat Chaser, thank you so much for the super chat, everyone. Really appreciate it. Science Bob Gutter.
Little brother is watching.
Cat Chaser, I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for your love and support, people. Here we go. Here's hour
Radio
2. Music's
Dave
on.
Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to spend with us. We welcome back everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates across North America and on the digital side on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. Remember, you can check out all of our archives for free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Graphophobia. Graphophobia is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio for the show, on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Now, we're talking Bigfoot tonight. From WIBS, that's Washington, Idaho Bigfoot Search. We got Nate Rudd with us, and he's been doing this for about 7 years. You know, during the day, he's our resident beer man, but during the night, and on the weekends, he's out in the forest searching for Sasquatch. Welcome back, Nate.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
I got to ask you this on a personal level here, okay? When you go up into the forest, can you feel them? Can you feel if Bigfoot is around?
You know, I think I can, Dave. I would never say that I can't communicate with them that way, but I get that feeling. I got to tell you, and I mentioned it earlier, I lived in a house that was haunted for about 10 years. And I'm not trying to change the subject here, but I saw some spirits. My son saw some. And I feel like I'm a little sensitive to that, open to that. And I don't know if that helps in the Bigfoot world. But, yeah, I think I kind of have a little bit of a sixth sense there where I just kind of get a weird feeling. I had that in the hunting camp all week, you know, once that stuff started ramping up. So, yeah, I would say, like, I know this 2 weekends ago we were up in the ancient cedars there, and I didn't have any feelings. And I told my son, I said, Corey, I'm not feeling it tonight. I don't think they're here. I think I made that exact statement to him. So, yeah, I think it's possible. I think I can feel them a little bit, you know, if they're around.
Yeah, and
I would say yes.
The reason why I ask is when you have that encounter, that close encounter, whether you see them or not, or you hear them, a lot of people have talked about, you know, when they go in the forest, it's almost like a sixth sense that you know when they're around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, you get that feeling, and and it's not just Bigfoot. I think, people that are in the woods a lot, hunters and stuff, if a predator's around, you can get that kind of goosebumps, that feeling that you're being watched, that type of feeling. I think that's fairly common, but, I don't remember ever having that, other than being around these things. So, yeah, I would say yes.
Yeah. So when you're close to them, okay, or they're around, what do you go through? What does it feel like for you?
Oh boy.
I know it's it's tough to describe.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's one of those things where I am building up to something here.
Sure. Yeah. Like I said, I think you feel, I've gotten that feeling like I'm being watched. It's kind of a different feeling. And, my father-in-law's had it in an area where, I don't know if I mentioned yet, he was a hunting guide and outfitter for years. And all the stories that I told you that they told us over the years, he had those feelings going through this area. And he's of the opinion that they have some kind of a supernatural, angle to them. And so he's experienced that too. And I think it's just it's hard to explain. It is a hard question. I just think they can make you feel them. I don't even know how to explain it, Dave. I'm sorry I don't have a better answer.
No, but I guess what I'm saying, I think you're answering it perfectly, because for people who don't understand what it's like, when something is around in the forest, there's just this weird sense, like you said, when there's a predator around, if it's a bear or a mountain lion or something along those lines, you get that sixth sense that you are being watched, that you are not alone, and you don't know why you get it, but you get it. And then next thing you know, you look down a couple 100 yards away and there happens to be a bear walking with her cubs or something along those lines. It happens. And it's that sixth sense, almost like survival-like feeling that you get out there, correct?
Correct. Yeah, you described that well. And then the other part is, something that we've noticed too is the woods can get silent too. Like, when you're in the woods, a lot of times you can hear squirrels chirping and birds chirping and stuff. And I think it's the same thing. They sense it too. And that would go for a predator as well. They get real quiet and they know something's up. So I think we all kind of have that as living creatures, even as humans. It's kind of that built-in sixth sense. And some people are more sensitive than others, I would say.
Have you ever, when you have been in close proximity to the Sasquatch, have you ever felt like you've got some sort of message sent to you? A lot of people will say, because I guess what I'm saying is there's a lot of people out there who believe that Sasquatch is telepathic.
I've heard that. No, I haven't. I can't say that I have, Dave. Yeah, the answer is no on that. But just sensing them, just feeling them, just having that feeling of being watched and kind of getting goosebumps and your hair's up on the back of your neck. And like I said, that's exactly the way my father-in-law described it to us over the years when he was hunting in this area where they were. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now so just feeling it, but no, I don't.
Go ahead. No, please finish.
I was going to say I've never had any messages that I could say, that I could talk about, anything like that.
Human Carl, who is one of our beloved veterans who listens to this show, and thank you, Human Carl, for your service. He is asking, what's your opinion about Bigfoot being interdimensional?
Boy, I don't know. I don't rule anything out though, Dave. I'm open. I think there's a lot of possibilities. There's just so much that we don't understand, how they disappear, how they leave an area so fast and, appear and disappear. And yeah, I guess it's possible. I'm the type of guy that I'm not ruling anything out. I'm pretty open-minded about it. So I would say, yeah, it's possible.
I think so too. I think so too. And I don't know why. I just get that feeling. And I'm going with it. It feels good to be able to do that. All right. Thanks for the question, Human Carl. I appreciate that. And, I know when we had our encounter at Flight 21, a couple of years ago where my buddy Merle from Ghosts of the Great White North and our buddy Mark was there as well. And we heard the voices. They're called this, if you go on the Sierra Sounds by Ronald Moorhead and you listen to them, you'll hear all the hooting and the hollering, but all of a sudden it sounds like there's voices talking. And it's very, very tough. Have you heard those voices?
100%. Absolutely. We've heard them a couple times, Dave. So we've got an area. I'll just go into it real quick. Sullivan Lake, Washington. It's a real hot spot. There's been a lot of sightings up there, a lot of reports. So the first time we went there was a couple years ago, maybe 3 years ago. Now that I think about it, it was me and my brother-in-law, Chris, and, first time we'd ever been up there. We'd heard there was some reports, so we wanted to go check it out. So we found a camping spot on Sullivan Creek, actually north of Sullivan Lake, and we set up there, and real beautiful spot by the creek. And we went out that night. We crossed the creek. There was a big log, big tree that had fallen across the creek, so we were able to cross right there and get into the other side of the woods there. There's a big ridge on the other side, real steep, real thick forest up there. It's a grizzly recovery area, by the way. They take all the problem grizzlies up there. So, we were a little on edge being up there, knowing that. And so we went out that night and did a couple knocks, couple calls, and weren't really getting a lot. But I remember having a weird feeling like we were just talking about, sitting there in the dark. And all of a sudden we had crossed the creek and hiked east up the creek, which I didn't think we went that far, honestly, but we ended up going farther than I thought. So we were sitting there and we let it get dark. And all of a sudden I heard like what I thought. My mind went to a woman talking, a lady talking. I heard talking in the woods. And I immediately thought that someone was at our camp and someone heard us calling or whatever. And I just remember saying, Chris, did you hear that? There's someone talking. They're at our camp. And he didn't hear it. He was a little ways away from me, but he didn't hear it. And for some reason, I panicked, and I for some reason thought we had to get back to our camp. So I said, let's head back to the camp, see what's going on. I thought, and we had our gear there. We didn't want it stolen or whatever. So we proceeded to go back towards camp, and I didn't realize how far we'd gone up the creek. And you've been around a creek before. It's kind of loud with the water rushing. And what I realized, Dave, is we went a lot farther than I thought we did. And there's no way on earth we would have heard a lady talking in our camp. We were probably a good 100 yards up the creek from our camp. So yeah, I've heard that before, and we've heard it since in the same area. That it's kind of like a mumbling talking. You can't make out what it's saying, but it just sounds like someone's in the woods talking. The second time it happened was this last summer, and we'd found a pretty cool structure up there the day before, and we were sleeping in our tents, and it was stormy. It was real rainy, kind of loud rain pelting the tent, and this is going to sound weird, but I woke up for some reason in the middle of the night, Dave, and I don't even know what time it was, and I couldn't move. I was frozen, and it was the weirdest feeling in the world, and a lot of people will go to sleep paralysis, but I've never had that before that I'm aware of. I don't remember ever having it, and so all of a sudden I'm waking up in my tent. It's pitch dark out. I can't move, and I just remember thinking, I got to ask Corey if he's okay. I just wanted his tent was behind my tent, and being in grizzly country and all that, I don't know exactly why I woke up. I just woke up out of a dead sleep, but I was frozen. I couldn't talk. I couldn't yell. I was going to say, Corey, hey, you okay? I couldn't move. It was the weirdest thing ever. One of the weirdest things I've ever experienced. And so this is going to sound stupid, but I gave up. I finally gave up, and I just went back to sleep because I was tired. And then the next morning, we come out of the tents, and Corey he said, hey, something weird happened last night. I woke up, and I heard, it sounded like mumbling or talking outside the tent. And I was like, no kidding. And I told him what happened to me, and I don't know. He said he didn't look at his watch or whatever when that happened, so I don't know if it happened at the same time. But it was a weird night. And, yeah, again, talking outside the tent, couldn't make it out. He said it sounded like a mumbling kind of off in the distance. So a couple examples right there. Yeah, we have heard that. It's a strange experience.
Gary is asking, Nate, what's your thoughts on the theory that Bigfoot have taken human women as mates?
Oh, I think it's very possible. In fact, the Native Americans have talked about that. In fact, some of the Northwest tribes believed that these things would steal. They'd come out of the mountains. They knew that they did this. They'd steal children and sometimes women to procreate. And actually, a Native American woman wrote about this in a book. I'm trying to find it. I have a note here. In 1924, let's see. I'm trying to find it. 1916. Sorry, Dave. Lucy Thompson wrote a book, and she talked about that. And they called them. It was the Yurok Indians, and they were down on the Klamath River, and they called them Indian devils. And her cousin was actually kidnapped in 1899 berry picking. She was taken by these things. And she talked about how the Indian devils would come out of the mountains during the day when the men were hunting, and they would steal children and women and possibly eat the children and take the women for Bigfoot brides, I guess you could say. And, the tribe fought with them. They'd go out and try to get them back. And, she wrote about that. So I think it's very possible.
I know that happened in British Columbia here too, in the Harrison Hot Springs area, back in the 1930s or 40s as well. I believe that happened, and that is scary. I mean, I know that they sent a few warriors up to. They found her in a cave like 4 months later. And when they grabbed her,
I think I heard that.
She had already lost her First Nations language and was talking another language, number one. And number two, when they found her and they brought her back, they had to run down the mountain because this Sasquatch was chasing them. And they hopped in their canoes and went down the Chehalis River towards the reserve. And for 2 weeks, everybody in that reserve had to stay inside with their doors and windows blocked up because this Sasquatch was terrorizing all of the buildings.
Unreal. I think I may have heard that. It kind of rings a bell, Dave. Yeah, I do think that they take people. I kind of look at it as if they're a lot like us, there's good people and bad people. And so I think they're the same way. And I think they are responsible for, not all, obviously, but a lot of the missing people out there in the national parks and forests. Because the Indians talked about it. I mean, I'm sorry, the Native Americans, they all had stories about this. So, like I said before, if you look to their legends and stories, I think you're going to find a lot of answers there. But I do believe that certain ones, or maybe a bad group of them, they take people. I don't think it's a big secret, honestly.
No, and it's a very dangerous subject to talk about too, because I know David Politis, bringing him up again, I believe deep down that even though he doesn't give up his theories, I think that's one of the theories he has in regards to this. Do you believe this creature moves with the food cycle? So for instance, when the deer or the elk or the moose or whatever it may be moving into their rutting season or into lower altitudes and areas during the winter, do you think Sasquatch follows them?
Absolutely. Yep, you nailed it there, Dave. We have an area we go once a year. We make it's a week-long trip. We do it once a year, and it's sorry, I'm trying to find. It is up north of the Clearwater River, the North Fork of the Clearwater. And what we've found, we've been making this trip for 5 years, and we've gone in mid to late August, and we've gone in early to mid-September. And the years we've gone early, we haven't had anything happen. So I think what they do is they stay up high on the ridges in the summer when it's hot, and the game is up there too when it's hot, and then they follow the game down when they start to move down when the weather gets colder and the snow flies and all that. I do think they follow the animals, and then there's certain times where you can go in the woods and you don't see any animals, so it kind of correlates. But we have found that there's a pattern. We think there's a pattern to that. I think you're absolutely right. They're up high in the summer and they come down low when it gets cold, and the game does the same thing. So it makes sense. Mm-hmm. And that's that area I told you about. My father-in-law was a hunting guide for years in this area where a lot of those stories came from.
That's pretty intense.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, you're dead on there. I do believe that.
Prairie Fire is asking if you have ever experienced infrasound around this creature.
Well, that may be what I experienced when I said I couldn't move. I've heard about it. I've done a little research, and I know it's a real thing. I know tigers use it and elephants use it, so it kind of makes sense. And I know maybe a little controversial, but I may have been hit with that. Maybe that's why I couldn't move. I couldn't speak, and I've heard stories, real similar stories along those lines. So that was kind of where I went with that experience. I think I possibly could have been hit with that.
Interesting. All right, let's get to Julie's question. As we got about 3 minutes to go before we go to break at the bottom of the hour. Nate Rudd, Sasquatch researcher, is with us tonight. Jules is asking, Nate, do you have any accounts of Sasquatch sightings that are not in the big woods?
No, I don't, because we kind of concentrate on the big woods. I'm sure they're out there, and I know they get close to suburbs and stuff at times, but we kind of go out. We go out of the way. So, there was the one at Spokane River, close to Spokane, the city of Spokane. So, I mean, that's fairly close. I imagine it was a little out in the woods there, but we kind of go out. We go out a ways. We like to get away from people. That's our big thing. We don't want anybody else around. We don't want to see any other campers and stuff. I think you're going to have a lot more luck if you can get out and go deep in the woods. That's kind of the key.
It really
Good question, though.
All right, I think we got time to sneak in one more. Lisa's wondering, is the abominable snowman a cold weather Bigfoot like a polar bear?
Yeah, I would say so. And like I mentioned earlier, our areas we cannot get to from early to mid-December to late May, early June. And I can't imagine how much snow is up there in the dead of winter, probably 8-10 feet of snow. Who knows? But yeah, and that's a great question. I don't know how they survive, if they just hunt all winter, but it seems like it'd be awful hard to move through all that snow and hunt and all that, but they seem to do it. I don't know if maybe they hibernate. I mean, I've heard theories like that. I just don't know, but maybe they spend a lot of time in the cave or something.
What about the Patterson-Gimlin film? Gary wants to know your thoughts. Real, fake?
Oh, absolutely real. Yeah, 100%. They've done studies on it for years, and they didn't have that kind of know-how to make a suit like that back then. And obviously that film's been scrutinized, but it's no, that's 100% real. Definitely. That's probably the best footage we have of one.
All right. There's another question from Bigfoot Michigan Rob in there, but I think that's going to be a good way to kick off the next half hour. So we will get back to that question here. Nate, one thing is very clear. There's a lot of very, very interesting stories coming out of the forests around North America. It doesn't matter which state you're in, which province you are in, or territory if you're in Canada. It's just a lot of interesting topics coming up. And I think that eventually we're going to get closer. I don't know how. I don't think it's going to be a body, but I think we're going to get closer. Nate, you hold on. We're going to get to your questions in the chat rooms in just a few moments here as we're going to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Nate Rudd from Washington, Idaho, Bigfoot Search. You could find them on Facebook. They got a group there. If you want to join in for some Bigfoot chat? I highly do. Suggest you do, that is, because I do too. More Bigfoot talk with Nate coming up on Spaced Out Radio. All right, man. All right. We're doing some good stuff here.
Having fun, Dave.
Good. Me too, man. Me too.
Good. Pleasure to be here.
Oh, we're all having fun, man.
How's the weather up there?
You know what? We're in the thunderstorm season, which really sucks. But it's been warm. I get to wear a nice golf shirt every now and again.
Nice.
You know?
Yeah. Yep. We've had a lot of rain down here recently too. Just finally starting to warm up a little late, but it's supposed to be 87 tomorrow down here.
Oh goodness. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? We've had a lot of dampness and wetness and a lot of rain, a lot of power rain. And you know, it's funny, when I first moved up here 5 years ago, there was barely any rain here at all. Like you'd get maybe 20 minutes worth of rain and then it would stop. Then it'd be right back to bright, warm sunshine. And then we had the forest.
Yeah, that's weird.
Then we had the forest fires in 2007. And then we, the last couple years, it's been pretty damp and rainy right through July. And, oh, Barther. Oh, leave the shirt alone already. You're giving me a complex. It's been on 3 Loverboy covers, man. Anyways, what was I saying in regards not to the shirt, but
the weather.
The weather. And like around here, you'll get people who all of a sudden start bitching and complaining about the weather. And, you know, it's rainy and I haven't been able to get my boat out on the lake or water ski or suntan or whatever it may be. And then you just remind them, yeah, but remember 2017? And they're like, oh, yeah, yeah, you're right. I'm not going to bitch about the rain, you know, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cable guy Matt knows what it's all about because he's in my town, too.
Oh, yeah. 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 We get some weird weather here in the Northwest. You know, we've had snow like June 10th before.
Yeah.
A few years back. So that was kind of weird.
Oh, I hear you. No, Don't mind the rain. It just.
No, we get 4 seasons. Yeah. It's kind of nice. You get a little of everything, but I wish the summers were a little longer though.
Yeah. I agree with you there. And we're all on the downslide now.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
That went fast. Yeah. The summer solstice and.
Yeah.
Yeah, the days are getting shorter already.
It's all downhill from here until 1 year from now.
We got to get our research in quick while we can. Yeah.
I hear you. How heavy does the snow get around there in the winter?
You know, it's not too bad, Dave, honestly. You know, back in the day, we got a lot more snow when I was a kid in the 70s.
Yeah.
I remember jumping off our roof of our house into giant snowbanks. And I think in 68, the year before I was born, my mother told me that we had like 10 feet of snow. Everyone had to drive around with big flags on their cars and stuff. So you could see one coming around the corner.
Oh, wow.
So I think that was record snowfall, but we don't see snowfall like that anymore. You know, we might get a foot here and there and it'll melt and then it'll snow again. Yeah, something's changed for sure. Not the same as when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a little different.
My area used to get an average. They would have 6-foot snowbanks, 7-foot snowbanks.
Wow.
All over the place.
Yeah.
And that hasn't been like that here for about 15 years or so. 16 years.
Same thing.
Yeah, almost the same thing. So, I got an itchy back. Oh, bastard. Oh,
so you moved up north. You were further south before.
Yeah, I grew up about an hour outside of Vancouver. So
okay.
So yeah.
Nice.
Thank you, Gutter, for
so how far
1 second here. Thank you, Gutter, for the extra super chat. Really do appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. You're an awesome dude. Take that, man. Take that. All right. Sorry. From Spokane.
Oh, sorry, Dave. Yeah, like drive wise, how many hours are you up? Are you north?
I'm about
Any idea?
Okay, from you to me, I think it's probably about a 9-hour drive.
Okay, gotcha. I was just curious. Yeah, that's a good drive. Yeah.
Hold on, I'm just Googling it right now. How far is it? No, I don't want flights because there are no flights. It's 8 hours and 27 minutes. You're 722 kilometers from me, so about 500 miles.
Yeah.
All right.
Good little drive.
Here we go. Here we go, guys. Hey, Pharmacy, how you doing, man? Good to have you back. Thank you, Gutter, for the super chats, along with Cat Chaser and Science Bob. Really do appreciate the help. Here we go with the second half of the show. Let's do this thing, man. There's your music. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Great to have each and every one of you with us tonight. Want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, has a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and let's head on over to Twitter at Spaced Out Radio as well. We are talking Bigfoot tonight. Encounters in eastern Washington state from WIBS, Washington, Idaho, Bigfoot Search. We got Nate Rudd tonight. We're having a great show with him. So if you missed portions of this, make sure you check out our archives. There's some good stories there. Welcome back.
Thanks, Dave. Great to be here.
Not a problem. Not a problem. How close do you think you have really been to Bigfoot?
Oh, boy. Well, the hunting camp encounter, I had one probably, honestly, within probably 10 feet of my head, I would say. And I think that's conservative.
Yeah.
It was right outside the tent. Loud growl. Scared the you-know-what out of me, for sure. It happened 4 times. So, yeah, very close. And probably been, maybe not that close, but real close other times also.
All right. Let's get to Bigfoot Michigan Rob's question. He is asking, a researcher friend of mine lives in Idaho. Nate, have you ever been to Spirit Lake? It's a very creepy Bigfoot area. Allegedly, the indigenous people buried their dead there.
Yes, I bet. We drive through there to get to our spots. It is a creepy area. There's Hoodoo Mountain, I believe, is out of Spirit Lake, and I also have a friend that lives there, a fellow researcher. So we might be talking about the same person, but that is a great area. Not super far up north, but like I said, you don't really have to go that far to find Bigfoot around here. So, yeah, I've definitely been there. Go through there every time we go up to our spots.
So what's so
right in the corridor?
What's so creepy about it?
Like you said, there's some old legends. There's a mountain called Hoodoo Mountain, and this other researcher talks about it. She's had some experiences and heard a lot of screams in the area, and she's had activity at her house. She lives, in the woods, a ways out. So just from talking to her, she's had some creepy stuff happen.
Lance is asking, do female Bigfoot abduct men that are human, or are we too small for them?
Do women Bigfoot abduct men? Boy, they probably could. They probably could if they wanted to, as big and strong as they are. There may be a story out there like that. Seems to ring a bell. There may be a story out there like that. I don't know off the top of my head. That might need some research, but that is a really good question.
You never hear about it. You only hear about the women.
Yeah. Right. No, that's a great question. I would say that's very possible.
Me too. Me too. And why not? Why the heck not? Nate, when we're dealing with this bipedal force, I mean, something that runs around at 8, 9, 10 feet, 300 to 500 pounds, it's got to make a lot of noise, something that big. However, the majority of people who have these close interactions with it say it was just like it just appeared. How come you think this creature can just walk through silently? Is it the pads on its feet or something more majestic?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it goes to their abilities. I've heard of them. I have another researcher friend that calls them ninjas of the forest, and that is right on. And they can make a lot of noise too. I think if they're pissed, they can make all the noise in the world. But I think they're super stealthy. I've heard from other researchers that, and there's been witnesses that have seen them crawling in on all fours, almost like a spider walk, like maybe they walk on their fingertips on all fours. So yeah, there's a lot of possibilities. Heard different stories like that. But like the hunting camp and running away, we didn't hear them moving around. So that's a good example of that. Yeah, it's a strange subject.
Prairie Fire is asking, what is your most recent sighting of Bigfoot in the Idaho area?
Most recent sighting, like sighting report?
Yes.
I haven't actually seen one yet, but, I would have to say the one that Steve Isdahl reported here just recently was a couple weeks ago on the Spokane River, which is a major river that runs right through the city of Spokane. So, real close to home here. That would be the most recent that I know of, which was just a couple weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think these creatures are getting a little more brazen to the human companionship, or do you think that they are still trying to stay away from us when we head out into the forest?
I think they're trying to stay away. I think they're very good at hiding. They've been doing it for, thousands of years. They're doing real well out there. It's very easy for them to hide. If you go out and you hike up a mountain, we can hike up the side, up the east mountain at Priest Lake, and you can look over the other side, Dave, and as far as the eye can see is just vast, thick forest and no roads, no access. And like if you fly in a plane and you go over the mountains, you can see how vast it is. It's not hard for them to hide. I mean, they're right on the edges of society, but the other side of that is they've got millions of acres of forest to hide in. So I don't think it's hard at all. And I think, sometimes we're their entertainment. They'll come in to check us out and see what we're doing. And, once in a while you run into an aggressive group or an aggressive one, and those are some of the stories you hear. But no, they can hide out there. I don't think it's very hard.
Scarborough Sasquatch Station wants to know if you've actually had a Bigfoot visual yet.
No, unfortunately, that's kind of our number one on our list. My son thinks he saw one, actually, Corey. We were coming back. It was that trip to Sullivan Lake last summer. I was ahead of him. We were in two vehicles, and he was behind me a little ways. And this is going to be frustrating to hear, but I didn't see it. I was fumbling with my radio or something, and all of a sudden my phone rang, and it was Corey, and he said, "Did you see that up in front of you?" He actually saw a large, dark bipedal figure. This was in the early morning. We were heading back towards home. He said it crossed in front of me. He couldn't believe I didn't see it. I was looking down, but he swears he saw one. And on the left side, it was a river. On the right side was a mountain, no houses. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere up there. So he said he looked at the spot where it crossed as we went by it, and he didn't see it, but there was, like I said, no houses. There was nothing there. So, and it just kind of loped across the road. He said it didn't look like it was in a hurry. And I can't believe I missed it, man. I can't believe I missed it. but that's what Corey said he saw. So he's one up on me. I'm a little jealous.
How do you think you find them?
Well, like I said, Dave, I think if you go, a good place to start is find out where the reports are from, the areas where the reports are coming out of, and go explore. And like I said, it helps to get off the grid as much as you can. There's weekends and some of our bigger trips where we'll hike in, we'll actually backpack in, take all our gear and our tents and all that with us, hike in a couple days and get deep in there. And that's when you're going to have the most luck. I think the deeper in you can get, the better you're going to be. But no, they're and like I said before too, I think if you let them know that they're there, there's probably a pretty good chance they might come check you out. I don't think it's as hard as people think it is. If you kind of learn how to call them in and stuff. So yeah. I'd just say find where the reports are and go out and spend some time in the woods. The longer you stay, the better.
Well, it obviously isn't working for you, man. You haven't seen one yet.
Well, yeah, you're right. I haven't seen one. No, I have not laid my. Yeah, good point.
I'm just teasing. No, I'm just teasing, by the way.
No, I know. No, rub it in. No, I have not seen one. I want to see one so bad. It's so weird because you talk to other researchers that haven't seen them and they've had all kinds of experiences. And then, you talk to other guys that have just been lucky or it just crosses the road in front of them or whatever. So I guess there's probably a little bit of luck in there too.
How do you think you would react to actually seeing one? Have you ever asked yourself that?
Yeah, I think I thought about it for sure. It would be quite, just the ultimate experience to sit there and be able to watch it. I don't even know if I'd find my camera in time. I'd probably just be kind of frozen watching it. It'd just be amazing. Yeah,
I agree with you there. I don't think you'd get your camera out.
You've actually seen one.
You've
seen two, Dave. One.
I saw two within 100 feet of me.
Wow, that is incredible.
That was in September 2013.
Nice. Yeah, you're lucky, man. That's neat. Yeah.
Yeah, and to this day, like even thinking about it, I can still. I didn't see the face. I got a full right side and back profile as it walked away from me, and wow. I'll never forget the color. It was that brownish red. The best feature that I saw was just how big those shoulders are. Number one, and number two, this is probably the best thing. Like even thinking about it, telling this story now, I could see it replaying in my mind. There was no neck. It just went broad shoulders straight to the back of the head pointed up, and then it kind of angled down towards the face. There was no neck, and it just walked right through. And I was just like I had maybe 3-4 seconds of this, and it's just etched in the memory, man. It was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And I'm like you. I want to see it again. I do. That's why I go out there. I do have a question though about going out in the forest for a lot of amateurs, and I consider myself an amateur at this. Okay. But the one thing that I have noticed, and I've asked other researchers this too, why do we mostly only find one print? Usually we never find a trail or even 2 or 3 prints. It's always just one print. Have you ever thought about that?
Boy. Yeah, I found one. That is amazing. You brought that up. I have an amazing print, Dave, and I can send you a picture off the air, but it was just one print in the middle of a muddy area. I looked and looked. I couldn't find any more. I've actually experienced that. So yeah, I don't know. And I've heard about the trackways that go out in a field or an open meadow and all of a sudden they're gone. They just stop and disappear. So there's more to this. Like we talked earlier, there's more to this thing. So many things we can't explain.
Well, and that's the strange part about that, because if this was an animal and it was going, whether it's across a path or down a path or into a muddy area, I mean, how many times have we heard and seen other researchers out there just say the prints just ended? They just stopped.
Yeah.
And
sure.
Especially one of the best trackings is snow. You could be following it, and all of a sudden the tracks just stop, and you're like, well, how does a creature that has 16, 17-inch footprints just stop? Does it all of a sudden climb the trees and start swinging through the trees like Tarzan? I don't know.
Yeah, that would probably be possible, but in the middle of a field or a meadow, there's no trees. I mean, I've heard of those too. So where does it go? Does it backtrack in its own tracks? I can't see that.
I can't see that either.
I can't see him being,
You would see no matter what, you would see a double print.
Right. I agree. Yes, I agree. Just so many unanswered questions. It's just so much to learn. That's why we keep going. Yeah, it's quite an interesting subject.
Nate Rudd is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Nate, as you are continuing your search for this, you've got on your WIBS Facebook page a lot of really, really cool pictures of structures. For people who are amateurs, much like myself, how do you know it's a structure and just not nature? And describe let's start off with describing what a structure is first and foremost.
Sure. So we found a lot of these. Some of them can be explained away, but when you find a good one, what you'll notice is there'll be big, fairly large. I shouldn't say large, smaller trees, but you're talking 4 to 6 inch in diameter trees that are snapped off and they're moved. They've taken. Sometimes you can't find the base of where these trees are snapped off. And sometimes they'll be woven together to where you can look at a structure and you can see that it would have taken superhuman strength to bend a tree down and weave these other trees through it, if that makes sense. Just stuff like that. And then we found one 2 weekends ago. This thing is massive. It's almost like a blind, like a hunting blind. But you look at the branches and the trees, and if there's no cut marks, no axe marks, a human didn't do it. And in most cases, these structures, these trees have been snapped off, and some of these are good-sized trees where it just wouldn't be possible for a human to do it. So that's kind of what you look for. And, you just can't explain it away. It's hard to find another reason for it.
Do you believe these?
If that makes sense.
Do you believe these structures that are out there? And I've never come across one in the forest where our Bigfoot gifting site is that we have, where we found a couple of prints. There was some trees that kind of lean, almost making a lean-to into another tree. However, in that area, there's a lot of wind during the winter, which is easy to explain how the trees come in. Sorry for the woo people out there, but that's just the way it is, right? So how do you explain the difference between something Mother Nature did comparatively to something potentially Sasquatch did?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, a lot of it can be explained away. The ones that are bent over and stuff, some of that's snowfall, heavy snowfall during the winter, and it's bent them over. But there's some intelligence to the intricate ones. You can tell that they've woven them in and out through other trees. And when a tree falls, it just doesn't do that naturally. So you look for those kind of things that don't. It's hard to explain them away as being natural. And then again, you've got the trees that are snapped off, and you can't find where the tree has come from or fell. If a tree snaps off from the wind, it's going to be laying by the base. It's not going to go away. So when you have trees that seem like they've been brought into an area and put together, it seems like there's some intelligence to that, and we're not sure if they're markers or territorial or what exactly. We're still learning too, but this one we found a couple weekends ago, and those pictures are on our page. Everyone can go check those out, and I would encourage you to do that because it's really incredible. It's a very huge structure, and like I said, all of the limbs and trees had been snapped off, no cut marks, no sign of human activity, no fire pit, no fire, and this is in the middle of nowhere. It's very remote. So, and then again, it's in that area where you can't get from early December to late May, early June. And like I mentioned before, we had just went up there 4 weeks ago and couldn't get to this spot. And this structure had a lot of green, a lot of fresh greenery on it. So that one's real hard to explain. And like I said, you can look at those pictures and you'll see what I'm saying. I think the pictures speak for themselves if you go look at them. We were amazed. And I took my wife and my brother-in-law up there this last weekend because they wanted to see it in person, and they were blown away. They couldn't explain it either. So, kind of neat. I'm surprised you haven't seen one out there, Dave.
I haven't. Now, I've seen trees bent over. Okay, that looks very strange, but not, like I've seen some of your pictures, and it looks like a lot of these trees, some of them aren't even broken, but yet they're bent over and interwoven within each other, almost to build some sort of structure. And I haven't come across that yet.
Almost like a basket. Yeah, this one we found a couple weekends ago is woven together like a basket. Yeah, it's amazing. It blows you away. And we seem to find a lot of structures up here in this area. I don't know if it's just our area. I'm sure they're up there too where you're at, but we do run across them quite a bit when you go into these areas. Like I said, not sure if it's territorial or markers, I don't know. That's a great question.
Right on. We've got about a minute and a half here to go or 2.5 minutes before we got to go to break at the top of the hour. Nate Rudd is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Nate, as you continue to move and go into these deeper depths of the forest, for those who may not be as savvy with the wilderness, do you have to go real deep in order to get that contact, or can you just take your local logging roads, say that go out to a lake or a viewing area up on the mountain? And will that work just as well? Yeah, I think it will sometimes. We like to go in deep. It's kind of something we enjoy to backpack in and stuff. But no, if you're in a fairly remote area, you can have a lot of luck just doing that. Driving the old logging roads, the remote logging roads. In fact, we ran into a couple Forest Service guys up at Sullivan Lake last summer, and they pulled into our camp to check to see if we had our food, kind of warn us about the bears and the grizzly area, and want to make sure we had our food put up safely. And they told us a couple stories of some bears, and my son Corey was sitting there, and he popped the question. He said, "Yeah, you ever seen a Bigfoot?" And the older Forest Service guy said, "Well, as a matter of fact, no, I haven't seen one, but my partner saw one, and I was with him." And they proceeded to tell us that they were patrolling some gated roads up there. And apparently this guy was doing some paperwork in the front seat, and his partner slammed the brakes on, and he looked over at his partner, and he was shaking, like immediately shaking, and told him that he'd just seen a Bigfoot cross the road in front of him. And this other guy that was telling us the story, he could see the bushes and the trees moving, but it had already moved into the thick forest, so he didn't get a look at it. But he said his partner he could tell he was terrified. And anyways, his partner made him promise not to tell anybody at work because he didn't want to get made fun of. And this guy's not working there anymore, so now he tells the story. But to hear a story like that from Forest Service guys, that was pretty cool. And that was just on a logging road. So yeah, if you go out in the mountains and drive around, you have a good chance of you probably want to get off the road though. Yeah, no sure. Kidding. It may do some damage to the truck or the car, whatever it may be. Nate, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. We are going to go to break here at the top of the hour. I know there's a couple questions from our audience that are packing up here, but we got Nate Rudd for another 30 minutes talking Bigfoot. Then we got the SOR Newswire and the Thought of the Day. Stay tuned. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. My friend, I'm just going to run out and take my dogs out. I'll be right back, okay?
You bet.
Thanks,
okay,
man.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter @Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at mightymoosebeard.com today.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning bumble.
Welcome back.
You having fun?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Rock and roll, man. Rock and roll.
You got a couple dogs?
Yeah, I got a German Shepherd and a German Shepherd cross.
Nice. I got a German Shepherd. That's great.
Yeah. My guys are getting old.
We just got a pup.
Oh, you got a pup?
Okay. Yeah, we just got a pup. He's about 4 months old.
Nice.
He's about 45 pounds.
Oh, good for him.
4 months. But yeah, we're excited. He's a good dog.
There.
Going to be a Bigfooting dog.
Good. Watch for him to run back to you and pee.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, no.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, that's what I hear from a lot of people with dogs.
Yeah, I've heard that too. They're terrified. That says a lot right there, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't take my dogs into the forest.
Yeah.
When I go.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably not a great idea.
No, but
I'll take him camping when we're just camping, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's kind of nice on the other hand, though, it's kind of nice to have one. They're kind of an early alert system.
Oh yeah.
Like we've had them growl and kind of warn us about, that could just be predators and stuff, but
yeah.
So that part of it's kind of good.
Very protective dogs.
Yes.
That's what I love about them.
For sure.
All right, I got to scroll
No
up.
doubt.
I got to scroll up here in the chat room and find these questions here. Because I know I missed one. There's Corey's. Okay. All right, we're just into our final commercial. Hey, BG's, Gutter, Cat Chaser, Science Bob, thank you all. And Pleiadian Starseed, thank you all for the super chats tonight. Really do appreciate you doing that. Thank you so much. And, we're going to continue on here on Spaced Out Radio, talking Bigfoot for another 30 minutes here with Nate Rudd. And what do you say we kick this off? Here we go, hour 3. Music's on.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. We welcome back everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates across North America and on the digital side on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. Don't forget you can check out all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Graphophobia. Graphophobia is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio for the show and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. For the final time tonight, we introduce Sasquatch Hunter, or researcher. Hunter's such a bad word when it comes to this. Yeah. We got Nate Rudd. Nate runs WIBS, which is Washington, Idaho Bigfoot Search. You could join them on their Facebook page. Tell them, hey, I heard you on Spaced Out Radio, and he'll be like, hey, come on into our group. Come chat some Bigfoot with us. Nate, welcome back.
Hey, thanks, Dave. Good to be here.
All right.
We'd love to have more people, so we're very welcoming. We accept all opinions, and there's no censoring anybody on our page. So
perfect. That's what we like.
Yep.
Corey, my booking guy, is asking, have you heard of any Bigfoot sightings in the West Teton area around the Jedediah Smith Wilderness area?
Boy, I'm not sure where that is, Dave. I'm sorry. I'm not sure where that's at.
I don't know either.
Does he? Okay.
I'll find out from Corey. I know he's listening. He'll give us more information. Gary is asking, Nate, what would you do if you came face to face with a female Sasquatch and a child and they were aggressive? Would you shoot to kill?
Absolutely not. No, we don't want to shoot any Bigfoot. Nope. No, that's not our deal. So, yeah, be it, with the opinion that they're more human and more advanced than an animal, no way. The only way I'd ever have to shoot one is if it was trying to kill me or my son. So, good question though, but no, definitely wouldn't want to shoot them.
Tina is asking, have you ever found any large nests? Also, have you ever smelled anything strange?
We have found some beds, what we think are beds, where there's been fresh cedar limbs pulled off a tree and laid down to make like a bed. I guess you could call that a nest. And I don't know what that structure we found is exactly. A couple of weeks ago. It was either like a blind, or maybe you could call that a nest even. If you see those pictures, you'll see what I mean. But yeah, we've actually found quite a few beds where it looks like they've laid down soft, cedar limbs and soft leafy branches and stuff to make a bed type of a thing.
I haven't found that yet. We got to get you down here, Dave. Yeah, Corey says it's in Alta, Wyoming is the nearest town to that area, or Driggs, Idaho.
Okay.
Teton, not Teton, Teton. I pronounced it wrong.
Okay.
I apologize.
No, I'm not really aware of that area. I don't have any sighting reports from that area, so I apologize for that.
How many reports are you taking a year on this?
It's not a ton, Dave. I think the next step is we need a website where people can come and give their reports. Now, they're welcome to do it on the WIBS page, and I've posted quite a few times to if you've had an encounter in our area, actually Washington or Idaho, to please leave it. We'd like to follow up on all of those, and I'm of the belief that there's a lot of people that are hesitant to come forward. You think about all the people that have seen or had experiences or encounters or sightings. I think there's just as many people that also haven't come forward. Does that make sense? I just think there's a lot of people that are hesitant to come forward because they don't want to be made fun of or ridiculed. So that's actually the reason Corey put our page together early on, was to have a place where people could come and share their encounters in a safe group where they don't have to worry about that. So yeah, we encourage that. But I think we need a website. That would be our next step, so we could do a better job of taking reports. That's kind of where we're at.
Prairie Fire is asking, as a researcher, have you ever seen orbs while you're out in the mountains?
I haven't personally, but I've heard a lot of stories along those lines. But no, I have not personally seen orbs. Just a couple UFOs.
Do you think there's Dogman in your area? That's from Gary.
I do, Dave, and I've heard of a couple other reports up in this area, and I saw something really strange. It was either last year or the year before, up at North Skookum Lake. We were hunting. It was that week of hunting. And we like to go out at night and just drive. We've got GPS, so we just drive and explore, and we don't have to worry about getting lost. And there's a bunch of high mountain lakes up there, and we came across there's a North Skookum and a South Skookum Lake. And we were up at North Skookum, and it was getting dark. It wasn't quite dark yet. Driving down an old skidder road or logging road, and this big black figure, it looked wolf-like, ran across the road in front of us really fast, but I got a good look at it. And all I can tell you, Dave, is it your first instinct is wolf, but this thing was massive. It was on all fours. It ran in front of us. It looked like it had a wolf head, but the thing that's burnt into my brain is the front shoulders were really high like a hyena. So the best way I could describe it is it looked like half wolf, half hyena, and it was really dark colored. So I don't know if that was a Dogman, but I'll tell you what, it was weird, and I got a real eerie feeling, and so did my partner Rob, my hunting partner. And so I don't know. I can't go to Dogman, but it was weird. It wasn't normal. It didn't seem normal to me.
Have there been a lot of Bigfoot sightings Dogman sightings in that area?
I wouldn't say a lot. I've heard of a couple. A fellow researcher, Cindy, up in northern Idaho there, she knows of a report or knows of some people that saw one on let me think, it was the Spirit Lake Cutoff Road. It's kind of a back road that you can take to Priest River off of Highway 41. Apparently they were driving up that road, and they swear that an upright wolf ran across the road on two legs. That was their report. And of course she could probably tell the story, better than I can. And so I heard that from Cindy. So there has been some other reports. So I would say yes.
Weird. And yet a few, yet a few years ago, there was not a single sighting of this Dogman creature anywhere on the west side of this continent.
Yeah, I've heard that too, but I've also heard other people say that there has been sightings now. Maybe they're starting to come out, and I'm not really up on that, Dave. Honestly, I'm more Bigfoot focused, but I'm aware of it. I'm aware of the subject, and I like to hear the encounters. And I've listened to quite a few encounters. Most of them are down in Texas and down, the eastern United States. There's some scary ones. So yeah, I don't really want to run into one. They kind of creep me out. But, like I said, I'm not sure what I saw, but it just didn't seem normal. It didn't look like a normal wolf, just super high shoulders. And so, yeah, who knows?
Who wins in the cage match, Bigfoot or Dogman?
Oh, boy. I don't know. Holy smokes. It would have to be a no-holds-barred best out of 3 falls match. And I'd say whoever got 2 falls would be the winner.
I'm still sticking with my prediction that Bigfoot wins by submission with the camel clutch.
There you go. Oh, yeah, there you go.
That's what
old school.
Total old school. It's got to be old school. There's none of this new stuff. None of this new stuff. Bigfoot's old school.
I love it.
He's old school. All right. All right. Many questions coming out at you as we ask every guest this. What's your opinion of breakfast for dinner?
Well, Dave, I'm going to probably disappoint you because occasionally I have an omelet for dinner or a scramble. Yes.
I thought you were a good
I've been known to have eggs for dinner, so I guess that would count as breakfast.
I thought you were a good guy.
Well, if I wanted to impress you, I would have lied.
Corey, where do we find these people? I got to give my booking guy a little bit of hell here for a second. Even though
it's an American thing. I don't know.
Even though I booked you for the show on this one, I'm still going to blame it on Corey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to.
Yeah, all our restaurants serve breakfast late too, so down here. So maybe it's just a local thing. I don't know. You bunch of weirdos is what you are. Bunch of weirdos.
I love it. All right, getting back to Bigfoot here for a couple of seconds. When you are going into a brand new area to search for this creature, what are you looking for? What are the signs that you were looking for just out of your own eye to say, you know what, let's try this spot?
Yeah, it might be an active area. Yeah, I look for tree breaks and stuff like that and those structures. Just stuff that's out of the ordinary, something that's not normal. Or prints, you might find prints. The common thing for us, we do find a lot of structures, a lot of odd tree breaks. There might not be a structure. There might just be a lot of trees that are snapped off at the base that, obviously trees fall over in the forest. We all know that. But when you start getting, X's and structures where we talked about earlier, where they're woven together and it just stuff that doesn't look normal. They couldn't fall normal like that. That's kind of if we see something like that, we know we might be in a good area.
Are you usually looking towards any type of water areas, like whether it's lakes, marshes, streams, creeks?
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a real commonality. Usually around creeks or lakes, that's a lot of the sightings happen around water. Obviously they need a water source and a food source. So yeah, water's an important thing. That's a good call. I should have said that right away. Maybe that was just obvious to me, but yeah, no, you do around creeks, around lakes. Actually all of our areas have all those. So I think that's a real important part of it.
How important is it then, if you're around creeks and streams and lakes, to monitor the fishing run at that point? Because wouldn't fish in your area, and I'm going to assume you don't get a lot of salmon in that area like they do here in BC, but I'm going to assume there's a lot of like lake trout and rainbow and that are running through the creeks for spawning areas.
Definitely. Yeah, a lot of fishing. There's some great fishing up here. Yeah, most of the lakes and creeks and stuff have a good source of fish for sure. Some of the smaller creeks maybe not, but the big thing is they're seen around water source, around creeks and lakes quite a bit. That's a real commonality.
All right. Leah is asking, have you found any rock stacking structures?
I have, but I don't know if I can say it was Sasquatch. It could have been human. It's just hard to say. We did find this last trip a couple weekends ago. We found a downed tree with 2 or 3 big rocks that were lying on top of it, like they were placed there. I don't know if you could call it a rock stack, but the rocks were placed on. It looked like they were placed on this tree, and pretty good sized rocks. And you can find that on our page also in that report. It's the Huff Lake report.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think make of that though? These tree structures, these rock structures, in your best guesstimation, are they markers? Are they trail markers? Are they some sort of homing device that the creature uses to say, okay, I've walked by here? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I've heard that too, where the trees that are snapped over might be pointing to one side of their territory, kind of like a territorial or area marker or something like that. Maybe they communicate that way as well. You've heard of the X structures and stuff like that. I've even heard of glyphs like sticks being placed in like a glyph type of thing, communication type of thing on the ground. I haven't personally found that, but I've heard of that before. One time, I got to say, we went up a creek a long ways. It was a new area, and we found a flat rock, a big flat rock, with all these other rocks crushed up, and there was a smaller rock sitting there. So basically, there was a pile of rock dust where it looked like something sat there and crushed up this rock. I just remembered that. I thought I'd mention that. So that was kind of a weird deal. But yeah, you think about it, Dave, and they're out there 24/7 in the woods. They probably get bored when they're not hunting and stuff. So who knows? I mean, they got to keep busy. They've got plenty of time on their hands.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever found areas where there has been fire pits where there's no sign of people?
No, not super remote. I guess occasionally you can run into a pit, but I would say human. Everything I've seen is human. Now there is old stories, and they're also Native American, First Nation stories, where they claim that at one time, going way back, that they did use fire. In fact, the lady I talked about earlier that wrote the book talked about the warriors would know where they're at by the fire way up in the mountains. So I don't know if that's true, but she wrote about that. So there is a theory that at one time maybe they did use fire, but they don't anymore, possibly to stay hidden. I'm not sure.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine, but if they're as smart as we think they are, who knows? I'm kind of on the fence on that one too, but she did write about it.
What is something that you have learned? As we got about 5 minutes to go with you here tonight, Nate, and this show has flown on by. What is something that you have learned about this creature that maybe we haven't touched on tonight?
Boy, they're just, I would say the special abilities thing is a big deal. There's so much that we don't know. There's so much we can't explain. The way they stay hidden, the way they move in and out of areas, the way they seem to disappear. There's a lot more to this than we know. And those are going to be hard answers. They're hard things to find. But just the fact that they're just so stealthy and they just seem to have, superhuman abilities. As I would say, as I learn, it just blows me away. So I would say the special abilities is pretty interesting.
You mentioned earlier in this show, and I meant to bring this up earlier. All right. But I got to tell you, man, one of the scariest things in the forest is when the forest goes absolutely silent. I mean, when you drive into an area and you hear the birds, you hear the frogs, you hear even the mosquitoes flying around, and then all of a sudden everything goes silent. Could be predator, could be something else. But for people who've never experienced that before, what is that feeling like?
Yeah, it's kind of eerie, and we've experienced that before. You've probably experienced a squirrel when a squirrel sees you in the woods, it starts chirping at you. They get pissed off and they make a lot of noise. And we've been hunting before where it's kind of funny. They've surrounded us. It's like the attack of the squirrels. We're hunting, so we're sitting there trying to be very quiet and stealthy, and all of a sudden we're looking around, there's squirrels all over the place chirping at us because they're pissed off we're in their area. But when you hear that and then all of a sudden it all goes quiet, you start to look around and see if there's a bear over your shoulder or a cougar, because the animals know. Yeah, it's a little eerie. And we've had that happen where you can hear birds and stuff, and then all of a sudden it's dead quiet.
I hear you there.
Yeah, it's an eerie thing.
It's not a comfortable feeling, is it?
No, it isn't. It is uncomfortable. Yeah, that's where your sixth sense of your gut, you listen to your gut on that.
So when you listen to your gut, when you hear all of a sudden the forest go silent and all of a sudden the hackles on the back of your neck go up, are you immediately put on your bring out your binoculars to start looking? What are you doing?
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, we always carry binoculars. Yeah, you're just on alert yourself. You're looking around. We're out there to see it, right? That's kind of our ultimate goal now. We've had all the experiences. Now we want to lay our eyes on one. So yeah, if that happens, we're looking, we're scanning, and that's the thing. As good as they hide, you really gotta look slow. You gotta just look at an area and move very slowly. Move your eyes slowly. Because if you don't, you're probably not going to see them. So yeah, I would say that's the time to really look hard and take your time. And you wouldn't want to leave. You want to stay there and take the time to really look, so you don't miss it.
As we got about a minute left to go here, my friend, I want to say a big thank you for coming on. You were absolutely amazing tonight, and this one went way, way better than I thought it would. I didn't think it was going to be a bad show. I didn't think it was going to be a bad show. I thought it was going to be a great show, but I didn't expect it to be this great. So I owe you,
good.
I owe you a giant compliment for some fantastic radio tonight, my friend.
Oh, Dave Scott, thank you so much. I've got more stories. I'll save them for next time maybe, but I really appreciate you having me. I've had a blast, and you're a good friend.
I appreciate that. Quickly, as we got about 30 seconds left, tell everybody how they can find WIBS.
Yeah, it's real easy. It's right on Facebook, a Facebook page, or a group, Facebook group. Just look for Washington, Idaho Bigfoot search, WIBS. And we've got all our original content at the top of the page there, all our reports, our local reports, sightings, and then all our videos and our investigations. And we've kind of put it there for ourselves and to share. So come on over and we'll have fun.
Hey, I appreciate that. Nate, thank you so much for coming on Spaced Out Radio tonight. Absolute pleasure to have you here talking Bigfoot and filling us in with your research. Good luck in the forests.
Thank you, Dave. Really appreciate it. We'll hopefully talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Nate Rudd, everybody. Wibbs, Washington, Idaho, Bigfoot search. Coming up next, we have the SOR News Wire, a little bit of breaking UFO news, and the thought of the Dave. Stay tuned. That was fantastic, man. Let's give you a round of applause. Go on YouTube and watch your round of applause there, man. This is good stuff. That was good radio tonight.
I will. Well,
very good radio.
Dave. Hopefully, I didn't let you down.
No, dude, you did amazing. Absolutely amazing. And we got to do this again. Yeah. We got to do this again.
Okay. I'd love to.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan.
Oh,
man.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
That means a lot.
I got to say this, and I'll say this in front of all of our YouTube people here. We like to take a lot of chances on people who may not have had an opportunity to do a show like this, but their research gives them the reason to come on the show. And when we get a gem like this from somebody who's brand new into it, it's fantastic. And being the first long form interview that you've done, thank you for being awesome tonight.
Oh, thanks, Dave. That means a lot. It really does.
Appreciate
means a lot coming from you.
Appreciate that. Let's do it again. I had fun tonight, man. Let's do it
Dave.
again.
All right. We'll keep in touch.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Head into the chat room so that way you could go hang out with them for the last half hour. Those people love you in there.
Yeah. I'll do it.
All right, bro. Take care.
All right.
Good night.
Thanks, Dave. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Good night. I love them. I absolutely love that. I had so much fun with this show tonight. I totally did. And I got to tell you, that went fantastic. It was a great show. Everything he said, he had good points to add. It was a great show. Fantastic. We're lucky for that one. We are. We really are. I'm happy about that. I'm very happy about that. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of a round of applause. Don't forget, Nate's one of you guys. He's coming into the chat room. He's one of you guys, man. And he gave us one hell of a friggin' interview. That's fantastic. What do we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. Need one more. There he is. There's Nate, Washington, Idaho, Bigfoot search. Look at that. Good old Nate there. All right, everybody, we have about 40 seconds left. Nate Rudd, good job tonight, buddy. Good job. That was so much fun, man. So much fun. I'm proud of you. Thank you for coming on in and being awesome.
For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Great to have each and every one of you with us. Reminder to all of you that if you've missed most of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including Rocket Out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio for the show, and my personal handle at Dave Scott SOR. On Instagram, follow us at Spaced Out Radio Show. Speaking of the news, it's that time. Here we go. Let's do this. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the wacky, and sometimes the ufological. Danny Silva from the Silva Record. He's a great blogger on the subject of UFOs. And I'll tell you, he got a tip tonight from Steve McDaniel from Skyhub. And this is just great. There's a bill that's been written by Marco Rubio and others, which is now on the agenda for the fiscal year of 2021. It includes references to unidentified aerial phenomena and advanced aerial threats. The work that TTSA and the current UAP program have done to brief politicians and others literally has worked. However, now the bill has to be approved and become an act. Contrary to previous directions to contact lawmakers, the UFO community must now give these lawmakers space to work and get this bill approved. Otherwise, lawmakers and politicians may become overwhelmed and drop the effort. This bill represents years of hard work, and the progress it can lead to, if passed, it's very exciting for everybody in this field. So this is very interesting because this is how it reads down. And I'm going to read this because I think this is important. The committee supports the efforts of the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force at the Office of Naval Intelligence to standardize collection and reporting on unidentified aerial phenomena, any links they have to adversarial foreign governments, and the threat they pose to the United States military assets and installations. However, the committee remains concerned that there is no unified, comprehensive process within the federal government for collecting and analyzing intelligence on unidentified aerial phenomena, despite the potential threat. The committee understands that the relevant intelligence may be sensitive. Nevertheless, the committee finds that the information sharing and coordination across the intelligence community has been inconsistent, and this is an issue that has lacked attention from senior leaders. Therefore, the committee directs the DNI, in consultation with the Secretary of Defense and the heads of such other agencies as the Director and Secretary jointly consider relevant, to submit a report within 180 days of the date of enactment of the Act on the to the Congressional Intelligence and Armed Services Committee on Unidentified Aerial Phenomena, also known as anomalous aerial vehicles. Oh, that's a new one. AAVs, anomalous area vehicles. I don't recall hearing that, including observed airborne objects that might not have been identified. The committee directs further the report to include 1, a detailed analysis of unidentified aerial phenomena, data, and intelligence reporting collected or held by the Office of Naval Intelligence, including data and intelligence reporting held by the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force. 2, a detailed analysis of unidentified phenomena, data collected by A, geospatial intelligence, B, signals intelligence, C, human intelligence, and D, measurement and signals intelligence. 3, a detailed analysis of data of the FBI, which has derived from investigations of intrusions of unidentified aerial phenomena data over restricted U.S. airspace. 4, a detailed description of the interagency process for ensuring timely data collection and centralized analysis of all unidentified aerial phenomena reporting by the federal government, regardless of which service or agency acquired the information. 5, identification of an official accountable for the process described in paragraph 4. 6, there's only a couple more. 6, identification of potential aerospace and other threats posed by the unidentified aerial phenomena to national security, and an assessment of whether this unidentified aerial phenomena activity may be attributed to one or more foreign adversaries. 7, identification of any incidents or patterns that indicate a potential adversary may have achieved breakthrough aerospace capabilities that could put the United States strategic or conventional forces at risk. And finally, 8, recommendations regarding increased collection of data, enhanced research and development, and additional funding and other resources. The report shall be submitted in unclassified form, that's huge, but may include a classified annex. This is big, guys. This is very, very big. Look, I know that was a mouthful to read, but this is huge. This is actually going in front of government. It's going in front of government. All right? Let's hope they can get this passed. This is seriously almost like a disclosure memorandum that they are taking this subject very seriously, and they want to know what the heck is going on. This is massive, massive. We got to follow this story, and we will follow this story. Great work by Danny Silva from the Silver Record, silverrecord.com if you want to check it on out. Good job, Danny. Good job on that one. Let's go over to Japan. Japanese high school baseball players, heartbroken because their annual tournament was canceled due to coronavirus, are getting a consolation prize, a spoonful of dirt. It's not just any soil, though. It's from the Koshien Stadium, which means it holds special meaning to all who love the game in this baseball-mad country. Every year, more than 3,000 teams go through competitive regional playoffs to advance to the finals at Koshien and in Japan, in central Japan. And the prize stage that's seen the likes of major leaguers Ichiro, Daisuke Matsuzaka, and Hideki Matsui play in this. And every year after a team loses, the players, many weeping uncontrollably, scrape the dirt near the dugout to take home as a memento. On a recent afternoon, it was the members of the professional club, the Hanshin Tigers, who were digging with their hands to collect dirt from Koshien, their home stadium. The dirt will be put in transparent balls hanging from keychains and sent to some of the 50,000 high school baseball players. Each ball has the words 2020 102nd Koshien for the 102nd tournament and pictures of a bat, ball, and the stadium. They are to be delivered in August when the tournament had been scheduled to start. Hibiki Kawamoto, a center fielder and slugger with one of the high school teams, was thrilled. The Tigers are his favorite team, and he plans to put the keychain proudly on his bag. The game means so much more to him. When I get a hit, when the team really needs it, I get praised by everyone. I'm going to play baseball till I die, the kid says. Good for him. Akihiko Tanimoto, a social studies teacher who works with the team, said the players were still working out hard, and the cancellation served as a lesson to not quit in the face of hardships. Koshin was our goal, but it is not the purpose of why we play high school baseball, which is about not giving up until it's over. The school has made it to the Koshin Summer Tournament 10 times. How the custom of bringing home Koshin dirt originated is unclear, but a tradition that dates back decades. Good for them. Good for them. Here's a funny one. A Delaware woman's doorbell camera footage of an Amazon delivery driver complying with her son's additional instructions for delivery, shouting abracadabra and running away. Lynn Staffiri said her 13-year-old son Jacob ordered a package from Amazon and left a message for the driver in the section of the order that asked, "Do we need additional instructions to find the address?" "No, but knock on the door 3 times, scream abracadabra as loud as you can, and run super fast away," the boy wrote. The doorbell camera footage shows the female driver delivering the package to the front porch of the Magnolia home, knocking 3 times, shouting the magic word, and running quickly back to her truck. That is awesome. Thank you to this great Amazon delivery woman, Steffieri wrote in a Facebook post. Apparently, my youngest son had put some additional instructions for delivery, and she went along with it. It made us smile, even though my son should not have done that, so I apologize for that. I do appreciate that the driver looked closely enough at the instructions, though, because I know a lot of people wouldn't. That is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Here's a story I don't want to say, but I'm going to tell you anyways. Bubba Wallace steered the number 43 car to the front of pit road. NASCAR champion Kyle Busch pushing the famous car on one side and close friend Ryan Blaney pushing on the other. The entire 40-driver field and their crew members followed. After the car came to a stop, Wallace climbed up, sat on the window ledge, and sobbed. Richard Petty, his Hall of Fame team owner, gently placed a hand on his shoulders. As federal authorities descended to Talladega to investigate the discovery of a noose that was put in Wallace's garage stall, the entire industry rallied around the Cup Series' only black driver. The news has disturbed us all, and of course we want justice, and we know who and why, said 7-time NASCAR champion Jimmy Johnson, and we want to stand with our friend. The 82-year-old Petty, at his first race since the coronavirus pandemic began at Talladega on race day for the first time in more than 10 years, stood side by side with Wallace during the national anthem before Monday's rain-postponed event. Everyone stood behind the car while Brad Keselowski held the American flag at the front of the display for solidarity. The idea to stand with Wallace started with Johnson, while the former series champion Kevin Harvick suggested they all push the car to the front of the grid, Wallace said. One by one after the anthem, they all hugged Wallace. He then had a long embrace with Petty and then went racing. If not for a shortage of fuel, Wallace might have had a chance to win the race. A late stop for gas led to a 14th place finish, but he felt like a win for Wallace. He went to the fence and slapped hands through the wiring with a group of fans wearing I Can't Breathe shirts as they cheered. He apologized for not wearing a mandatory mask, but didn't put it on because I wanted to show whoever it was, you're not going to take my smile away. The sport is changing. The pre-race deal was probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to witness in my life. From all the supporters, from drivers to crew members, everyone, the badass fan base, thank you guys for coming out. This is truly incredible, and I'm glad to be a part of this sport. It was Wallace who successfully pushed the stock car series to ban the Confederate flag at its venues less than 2 weeks ago, and he was the target when the noose was found hanging in a Richard Petty Motorsports garage stall Sunday afternoon at the Alabama track. A member of Wallace's crew reported it to NASCAR, and by Monday morning, U.S. Attorney Jay Town said his office, the FBI, and the Justice Department Civil Rights Division were involved. Regardless of whether federal charges can be brought, This type of action has no place in our society, Towns said. NASCAR President Steve Phelps said security had been stepped up for Wallace. His team was also granted unusual access to its car Monday morning to ensure it had not been tampered with overnight, and the FBI was currently on site at the track. He said the FBI director had told agents in Birmingham to use all their resources to find the perpetrator. Unequivocally, they will be banned from this sport for life, Phelps said. There is no room for this at all. We won't tolerate it. There won't be here. I don't care who they are. They will not be here. NASCAR has tried to distance itself from the Confederate flag for years at the risk of alienating a core group of its fan base. At Wallace's urging, it went ahead with the ban as the nation grapples with social unrest largely tied to George Floyd, an unarmed black man who died in the custody of Minneapolis police. We just become a little less ignorant about planet Earth. The initiative that seeks to galvanize the creation of a full map of the ocean floor says now 1/5 of this task has now been completed. When the Nippon Foundation Gebco Seabed 2030 project was launched in 2017, only 6% of the global ocean bottom had been surveyed to what might be called modern standards. That number now stands at 19%, up from 15% in just the last year. That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. All right, let's move on. Sometimes you get a delivery for pizza, but sometimes it could be a prank. Pizza deliveries, for people who don't know it, is an oldie but a goodie when it comes to pranks. But what if you were pranked for 9 years? I don't know why I'm laughing at this. Pranked for 9 years, okay? And then suddenly that pizza shows up from an order you didn't make or want. Started 9 years ago for Van Lendingham. Suddenly a pizza delivery man handed me a whole load of pizzas, but I hadn't ordered anything. Sometimes pizzas, sometimes kebabs. No matter what was brought, the orders just kept coming. He assumed it was just mix-ups, but after a while, he realized it had been on purpose, and even maliciously so. I cannot sleep anymore. I start shaking every time I hear a scooter on the street. I dread that someone will come to drop off hot pizzas yet another time. It can be on a weekday or during the weekends and at any time of the day. The orders come from delivery services in Turnout, but also from the surrounding areas. I have even had orders delivered to me at 2 a.m. The best of this bad situation is that Van Lendingham doesn't owe anything out of pockets for the deliveries, although he does pay in headaches and sleep. The restaurant faces the repercussions, however. I have just always refused the deliveries, so I never have paid a thing, he stated. But at one point in January of last year, 10 different deliveries reportedly showed up at his door, one for 14 pizzas. It cost them money and they have to throw away good food. On that day, the 10 deliveries showed up. I did the math. It cost me $510. The weird details don't stop there. A friend of mine who lives in Herenthout, about 17 miles away, is going through the exact same thing as I am. She has been receiving pizza she has not ordered for 9 years too. Yeah, they suggest the prankster is likely a mutual acquaintance. Sometimes we get both of them on the same day. When that happens, we warn each other to expect a delivery. I don't know why I'm finding this so funny, but it's just amazing. Absolutely amazing. Oh, my goodness. No pizza party as a celebration, that's for sure. Thought of the Day happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages and read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Day is as follows. What do you feel is the best way to track down Sasquatch for evidence? Oh, let's get to this. Corey, go places where they've been seen by many eyewitness reports. Joshua Cutchin, former guest here as well. Try the magic mushrooms, man. You'll see them. All right, moving on. Tim, FLIR with infrared capabilities from overhead, one of the dirigibles at night. If money were no option, being watched manner by an operator. All right. Lee, it would take a lot of time, some time spent in locations that they are known to have been. Nicole says, let's try swapping gifts with them. Doug, first set up your team on 3 sides of a swampy area known to contain Sasquatch. Equip all 3 units with 37mm launchers and gas masks. Put cameras on the unmanned side of the area along with milk. Have drones covering from overhead of the area. Launch bird bombs and tear gas into the habitat. Continue tear gassing the swamp until you get results. Just kidding, folks. Just kidding. Thank you, Doug. Alex, don't follow up on sightings. That only shows you were where the species was and not where it is. We have to start going to areas where we're not necessarily getting sightings, but where it made sense from a natural resources standpoint and where a breeding population actually resides and not just operate it. But yes, also near areas with long traditions of sightings. Mr. Persona, embed yourself in the woods for a very long time with zero modern technology. Perhaps 1950s tech, that is. Matt, he wants to use a FLIR. Kevin Day from the Nimitz incident. Tethered balloon with video camera watching the ground. That'll get it done. Vicky, search for the poo. Gail, I've suggested this before. After selecting a site he's known to frequent, leave interactive things, a coloring book and fat crayons with some pics colored in, a handy mirror with a sturdy hairbrush, a xylophone, photograph album of happy pics playing with loving animals, a hand shovel, pail, none of the boring things that aren't fun. Guess she doesn't like Hot Wheels. Chris, area saturation with current trail cam and other similar cameras and audio recording devices. Monitoring should be left alone for as long as possible to limit scenting the monitored area. Natasha, trail cams, some infrared, synchronized with drone surveillance. Joyce, I'm not up on technology, but a trail of Oreos could prove handy to lure one from hiding in the woods. Gil wants to live in the woods. John says get a FLIR. Robert, merely follow a Sasquatch around from shoe store to shoe store. Penman, spend time in the woods. Lots of time. Tips from people in a given area might help. The Ukrainian watermelon Ron. Has anyone even bothered to write a formal invitation to Sasquatch, inviting him to a barbecue? And that's where we'll leave it right there. Right there. Actually, let's get Marty's in. They say Sasquatch likes gifting. Leave a gift that he or she couldn't resist. Then climb up a tree and wait for them. And here's your clown, Dave. Thank you so much, Marty. I appreciate that. Thank you to everybody participating in the Thought of the Dave. We will do it all again tomorrow on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you to Captain Shirk for the wonderful news that she provided. You can find all of our news at the SOR Newswire on our website. And to Nate Rudd coming in, talking some Sasquatch with us. This is going to be a great one for your podcasting. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, in your cars, at work, wherever you may be. Thanks to everybody participating in our chat rooms on Spreaker, YouTube, LGAB, Rev Radio, Facebook, the SOR Space Travelers Club on our website, and on Twitter. To all the snarkers and snarkettes hanging out at Spaced Out Radio with the hashtag in front. You were awesome. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
make a mistake, we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Remember, everybody, the Woo train may have docked for the night, but tomorrow we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we have room for them as well. Have a good night. That's a solid show, everybody. Solid show. That's a good show. Cheer yourselves. That's a good show. That's a good show. Give yourselves a round of applause, people. Give yourselves a round of applause. Good for you. Be proud of this one. This was a good show. This was a good show. I think the purple shirt worked. That's just me. That's just me. Do 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 do. That was fun. I was very, very impressed with Nate. This was his first long form interview that he did. And, you know, I appreciate that. He did awesome. Very good show. Solid show. This is, what am I looking for? Spreaker here. He totally did sound like a pro. Or in Redheaded Lisa's world, a pre. You sounded like a pre. Okay, I'm just going to download this show and I'll be right back, everyone. I'll be back right here. Just bear with me. All right, moving on. Bart went to bed. He's East Coast. Probably. All right, let's move on here. How we all doing? Having a good night? It was fantastic. What a fun show. Really fun show. All right, we're downloading. Hey, Ronald, how you doing, man? Great to have you here. So, Nate, how you feeling, buddy? Hope you're cracking one of them beers. Now the question, where is that audio? There it is. I don't know what the hell to do here. No, that ain't it. Now, where the hell did that go? All right, let's have some fun here. Edit this sucker up. And go like that, and like that. Swear, I feel like I have mosquitoes landing all over me, and it's not there. I hate that part of this season. It's even when they're not there, you feel like they're crawling all over you and flying onto you. Carol Baskins? What is Carol Baskins? What am I missing with Carol Baskins? I don't know. I don't know what we're missing there. Who's Carol Baskins? No, I haven't seen a single episode of Tiger King. I really haven't. I've tried to stay away from that. Oh, good. Michael's a great guy, a great host. Yeah, thank you. I have an amazing crew. Amazing crew here. And we've had some good people in the past too, and some great people now, you know. Hey, Neil Bog, how you doing? You're a little late tonight. It's kind of after show now. Did I do that one? Yes. Hey, Chemical. I'm King Kate. You probably covered this. I don't understand. Hope all is good. Yeah, things are good, man. All right, let's do this thing, man. Let's download. Or upload. Upload. That's the word I'm looking for. Upload. All right, we need our verification code, people. We need our 6-digit verification code. Dave's drinking iced tea tonight. (430-358) 430-358. That's your verification code for tonight. $6 million guitar? What's this about a $6 million guitar? Hey, Alan Young, how you doing? Oh, the Kurt Cobain auction. Yes. That went for $6 million. I didn't know how much it went for. The verification code, that's so I can send the show to the radio station. I saw Alan, I saw April Wine in concert in 1992. They were fantastic. Triumph I never got to see. I'm surprised they disappeared so quickly in the early 80s because they were rocking. And Jerry Doucette I never saw. I don't know much about his music. But April Wine I got to see. They were fantastic. I should hope so that they threw in the case and a few extra strings. Courtney Love must have needed the money. That's why she put it up for auction. Was it her who put it up for auction? Oh, look at that. 6.01 million after fees. Peter Friedman, owner of Rode Microphones. Mr. Friedman said he planned to take the guitar on a worldwide tour with proceeds to go to supporting the performing arts. He described buying the guitar as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The guitar came with its case, which Cobain decorated with a poster from the band Poison Ideas' 1990 album Feel the Darkness. Before this, the most expensive guitar sold in history was a Fender Stratocaster used by Pink Floyd guitarist David Gilmour. It fetched almost $4 million at a charity sale in June 2019. Oh, my guitar's worth $300. $400. Oh, I gotta get my itch. See, I always have a back scratcher here. I know this is gonna look kind of gross, but I gotta itch this itch, man. Oh, it's driving me nuts. Oh, there it is. Oh, perfect. That worked well for me. Where are we here? Cool, we're cruising along. Happy birthday to my son, by the way, who's the big 7 years old. That's kind of cool. He's a good kid. Very good kid. I'm proud to be his daddy. Yeah. He got an iPad because mine broke that he was using. And so we got him one of the mini iPads. And excuse me, he wanted a Megatron. So he got a Megatron from Transformers. And he also gets a video phone call from his hero, Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal. That's a pretty impressive birthday gifts for him. You know, especially because you can't really have a birthday party, right? Due to the whole viral thing. Or virus thing. Oh, pardon me. All right, that's one done. Send that off. All right, guys, almost time to start wrapping things up here because I got to get to bed. I got to work in the morning, but I want to say thank you for everybody. Gutter, Cat Chaser, BG's, Science Bob, and Starseed for jumping in on the super chat tonight. Much love to all of you who are out there and doing us well and doing hard work. Big thanks to Corey, to Spook Cat, and to a lot of people out there who are doing a lot of great work for us right now, getting this show prepped on each and every night, getting it on social media. You guys are awesome. And I probably should say that a little bit more often than I do. I know I'm very complimentary with what you guys do, but it's very much